Who's that Hagee guy?
Oh, my
Hagee.
goodness. All right, look, welcome into Leesville Tattoos and Views. We're going to call this one After Hours tonight. Lee is busy over there putting some ink.
He's doing tattoo
He
work.
is
He's doing
very
his
happy
job.
to be tattooing.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is. I'm happy to see him
I'm
tattooing.
glad for him, yeah.
Yeah, me too. We got some new equipment in the interest of full disclosure, I don't know what I'm doing. So Mary
do
and
we.
Josh are one earing it tonight.
Hopefully it's recording.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm looking at y'all's beautiful faces.
This will be funny.
Let me do this.
You don't have
Let
to
me
look
see.
at me. I just,
Let me test this fade black button. Fades right out.
I'm always
Fades
talking
right back
and nobody's
in. That's
listening, so I'm
That's
I'm used to that.
I'm always saying something. Nobody
Right?
listens.
Yeah, nobody listens to me.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's funny because everybody listens to me.
Except
They
for my
have
friends.
to.
Except for my friends in Vietnam.
Yeah. Hey, man, want to say hello to those folks in
Yes.
Vietnam.
Yes.
I wish I knew
Hi,
how
Vietnam.
to say. I wish I knew how to say hello in Vietnam, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
So hopefully
We will
this
learn that this week.
hopefully this auto translate will get it.
Yeah.
But I also
Give us some
want
homework.
to say hello to the folks in South Korea.
Yes.
South Korea coming
South
on
Korea
pretty
coming
strong.
in strong, yeah.
So, man, we really appreciate all you guys being here and listening. I guess you're just interested in small town, y'all town, Southern life.
If
maybe
you get a chance to write us an email
Oh,
or
yeah.
let us
Please
know,
do, yeah.
kind of, we're curious to know why you are interested in us. So
In
we're
us,
curious about you guys and what you're going through and what's happening in your neck of the woods.
In your small town.
in
yeah.
your small town.
And
So,
I would say if you're in the area, come join us. But that's going to be an expensive trip.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we are back, and thank you guys for being here. Want to thank Miss Amber Jackson for coming in last week. I was a little bit under the
no, you were in the weather.
yeah, something like that. I was
Yeah,
trying
he was in bad
trying
shape.
to
Don't let him lie to you.
fighting.
He was in bad shape. He was in the
I
hospital.
was trying to think of a easier diplomatic way to say it, but no, there really isn't. I just
You was
were in
fighting for your life.
You were in the dirt, man.
yeah, they were surprised that I pulled through. I'll tell you what was funny though, the phlebotomist, little girl that was in there and taking blood, which I was in and out, but they couldn't find any veins because I had no blood pressure, like zero blood pressure. So they were. I said, just stick it in my neck. She said, well, we might get there.
Ugh.
We might
But
could.
anyway, when they said they wanted her to take more blood, she looked like, why?
Yeah. well,
Please
where am I
don't
gonna
redo
get
What's
it?
the point? Anyway, she stuck it between my fingers and she hit a nerve in there. So now I tap the top of my hand and it goes numb all the way down my.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Now we got nerve damage.
Oh, well, I told her when she did it, I was like, that's a nerve, honey. I mean, it woke me up. It was like electric shock, So that was the one time I do kind of remember.
Can
being
you
in
give
there.
blood? Do you give blood?
No.
I don't either.
I'm scared to death of needles.
Me also. I pass
That's a
out.
big needle.
You pass out?
No, I've never passed out, but I just get very like
Lightheaded?
even thinking about it.
Oh, me
like,
too.
I remember this guy at church. We had the van come by and he's like, "You need to give. You need." I started crying. I was
Yeah.
like, "I can't." Like,
Nope.
no, I said no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. My wife, you can milk her for all she's worth,
Yeah.
and she can just give and give and give. I see that little vial just start to
Yeah,
fill up.
yeah.
Really?
I'm out.
Really?
Yeah, and if I've got
Wow.
something in my bladder, it's out.
The only time I've ever passed out at the doctor's office, I was assisting with the removal of a toenail. And let me tell you,
Big toe.
yes,
Yeah.
and it was just the
Ingrown
like
toenail?
I was fine until he stuck the needle, in
Oh.
her
The
toe.
end of her toe?
Yeah.
And I was like, and then he laughed. He said, I went in with one patient and I walked out with two.
Oh,
Because
you
I was
hit the
literally
floor.
like
Yeah.
on the floor.
Well,
Oh,
you're
man.
really going to love this
Ugh.
because I cut mine out at least twice a year with no anesthetic because
Yeah.
I've had so many of them. Matter of fact, the first one I had, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I used to
Really?
play soccer, and the shoes would just squeeze
Yeah.
your toes. And overseas, kicking a soccer ball is like kicking a basketball, an overinflated basketball. They are hard.
Yeah.
So I was a kid, and they sent me to the ER, and I was, my toe, and it was gross. It was big. It was huge. But there was a Marine that came in, sat beside me. This was in Panama, right? He's a snake eater. He's been out in the jungle for weeks.
Real tough guy.
Well, he's got gangrene in his foot. It's gangrenous.
Yeah.
And he takes off his battle rattle. He's sitting there. He's still got the war paint on and everything. And he goes, little man, what you in here for? And I was like, oh, I grow toe. He goes, I do too. and he pulled off his sock, and his big toe was black.
You're like, oh man.
I was like, oh, and the smell that came off of it, I'll never forget
God.
that smell. Anyway, the doctor comes out. Now I'm sitting here next to this guy, and I'm just a little kid, and he goes, okay, he said, we're going to get to yours, and we're going to have to cut yours out because it's too bad. So, and I was like, oh, cut it out. Oh.
Yeah.
And he looked at the Marine or the soldier, and he said, I don't know if we're going to be able to save your toe. It's that bad.
Oh my God.
Marine looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, I don't think I need it anyway. Pulled out his K-bar and lobbed his toe off right there in the emergency room.
Oh my God.
In front of you?
Yeah, right in front of me. Yeah. You talk about doctors and nurses scrambling.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went crazy. But yeah, he didn't even break a sweat. Now, between me and you, he probably couldn't feel it because it was black. I mean, it was
necrotic
just,
at that point.
And yeah, so he just took his K-bar out and just lobbed his big toe off right there in the ER.
So why did you even come in?
Well, after that, because I had to go back in and they put a needle down the front of my toe, and then they put two in the side, and then they literally just pulled it out is what they did. And the shots hurt worse than them pulling the toenail out. So after that, I said, never again. I'll just cut them out myself.
Yeah.
And that's
my
what I
husband
did.
got his cauterized because he just kept reoccurring.
Only on one foot, right?
Yeah, he only had it. I think it's on his left.
I did
Mine's
two.
on my left.
Yeah.
I did two, and they came back thicker than ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they put stuff in there, and they said, these will never grow back. We're killing the nail. Nope, both of them grew back thicker than they've ever been in their life. Yeah.
It's so crazy because his toenail just grows it grows out, but like it's just such a straight line, like where they just completely cut the whole thing out.
Yeah.
I was like, you got some funny looking toes now.
Well, I had one. It's been a few years ago. I had one that came through the front of my toe.
Oh, God.
Underneath it, it came out the front, and so I had to go back behind it and cut it and then pull it out through the front. So
Sorry, everybody.
Have y'all ever had one pop off?
A toenail?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. My daughter
accident?
was three or four, and I was pushing her on her bike.
I don't
And I had, flip flops on, and my toenail caught the tire. And
rubber.
yeah, it just peeled it right up and about hit the ground because it was like.
Was it still connected and just sitting up like that?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It was
You try to push it back
like a
down?
car hood.
Yeah, did you slam the hood? Did you get it back down?
Yeah, I just put it back down.
Like a
Did
car
It
hood.
fell off,
Oh.
and then it grew back, and I'm like,
Which one
of
was
course, this one over here. It don't look
see it.
funny.
I'll look
It
at
ain't
it.
too bad. I think it's straight.
it? Yeah, it's straight.
Don't pay your claim.
Oh,
I gotta
man.
go to petty.
But
I gotta
I'm
get a
telling you,
petty.
man, how do you have the long
But just freak
toenails?
accident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would knock those things off anyway. I
You
couldn't do
said
long.
I couldn't do that.
I couldn't do the long toenail thing. Like me, look at my fingernails. Like these are long, and I clip them
You keep
off
'em, yeah.
very very short.
My
I don't know why
husband
that
too.
is.
He
I'm a
can't
mechanic.
stand like stuff
I don't like
underneath
grime
them.
and dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just chop them
Wait,
off.
speaking of grime and dirt, Mary, show the camera your hands.
My hands look like
There you
this,
go.
so your hair can look like it did after she left. She loved it.
Oh, Mary.
It's funny. American women dye their hair black. They want black hair.
Yeah.
American women like black or blonde.
Or blonde, yeah.
And British rock stars like dark black hair in
Yeah.
their 80s.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like, really, Paul McCartney?
And it just
We know it's not black.
At that age, it just never looks right.
Who gives a shit at that age?
No,
though,
well,
right?
yeah, I
Who
mean,
gives a shit?
I'm with you on that, too. I mean, why not?
I'm
if
a
you
huge
can.
gray blending person.
Are you?
Yeah. And I don't think there's enough stylists that do that.
I don't
What is
either.
that?
So I would describe it more as like working off of like what God give you. So
Right.
if you
So
got a
all
gray
this gray.
piece coming here, we're gonna go in and we're gonna just try and blend that out.
Okay.
Maybe add in some. I did it earlier today. She just has a heavy gray piece here, and she's like, it's just over here. Can we at least even it out?
Yeah.
Have you
So
ever
we
heard-
did some
sorry.
highlights and then toned it, and it's beautiful.
That's
But
cool, man.
That's just gray blend. It's just going off of what you're naturally,
I like
got going
the
on.
I like the young girls that do the grayish kind of
Oh,
silver
yeah,
hair. I
yeah.
think that looks cool.
Yeah, anytime that my husband,
It's like you shouldn't have that because
Right.
you're like 25, but that looks cool.
Well, that's what I say to all my older clients, and they're like wanting to cover up the white and the gray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know
and the
how
younger
much people
girls
pay
want,
for that?
yeah, they want the silver.
You should rock it.
Well, I tell my wife all the time, don't dye it. Just
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
it go.
Let it go.
Just let it. I mean, honestly, I think it's sexy.
That's what, that's what
You
I
know?
did. I just let it
I
go.
mean,
that's
just-
Just let it go, man.
Josh, like, of course it's sexy.
I was thinking
Look
about
at
doing the
me.
just for men, where you comb it in and like have the brown, and I'm like,
Now you're just insulting Mary.
Right.
Just for men.
Hey, we do have
do y'all do dudes' beards?
sometimes, but dude, it's so hard because that hair is so resistant. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and then they'll be like, "Well, it tinted it. It didn't cover it." And I'm like, "Cause it's
You're old.
like not
because
going
you're
to.
old. You're old, and it's gonna be old.
Are you kidding? I can sand my wood projects with my beard.
Not
Not
that bad.
dying
I use
it
like
at
a
all.
product in it, and I try to
Do
keep
you?
it. Yeah,
You and Lee both.
just a little bit. You
Y'all
have
are
to.
gay.
Is it like an oil?
It's kind of like an oil, and then like if I'm putting lotion on my hands,
Like
I'll
condition
put
it.
lotion.
Yeah, he's
in
talking
my
about
beard.
oil and lotion on his hands, and he puts it on his
Put
beard.
lotion on his skin.
Yeah, puts the lotion on the skin.
I didn't realize how my grandmother used to tell me all the time. She loved me so much, and she would tell me, "Don't listen to loud music. Wear earplugs when you shoot your gun. Do all these things because don't eat salt in your food because
And you're like, huh?
you're gonna have to live with this later." And I was like, I'm gonna live forever. I'm never gonna change. I'm gonna be 16 until I die.
Sorry, you're deaf, but I'll never be. Yeah.
Right? I'm deaf, and now I have really gray beard, and my skin is starting to dilapidate. And so she used to tell me, she used to buy me like these products, like really high end products. She's like, "You need to start using this," and I'm like, "Why?" She's
Yeah.
like, "Well, your body is going to age, and
You
wanna-
deteriorate
yeah."
over time. Yeah.
And she would always try to get me to, use lotions and stuff on my face. Well, I never really used that on my face. I used it other places.
Oh my God.
So,
Not where I thought you were going.
I gotta say, nothing down there is more than 16 years old.
He's in the most important places.
Yeah, that looks
I'm telling you,
really
man.
nice. Well, my son, we went to the dentist Tuesday for a crown. Of course,
too bad.
They order. This is the third time. It didn't fit.
Is he crunching ice?
No, so he had that root canal, and they've been trying to get a crown placed on afterwards. Well, they cracked the tooth because the crown that they had expedited was too small. And now they're like, well, you might have to go back and see if, the root canal is going to be fine. But anyways, he was laying back, and he's got all this little neck hair coming in. And I'm like, did I not buy you a razor?
Yeah, Shane did.
And then he's like, I said, what happened to your little thing? He was like, I use that for other things, Mama. I can't. And I was like, whoa.
Hey.
I will be buying you a razor. Let's not talk about
But that's good. He's more worried about his undercarriage than his.
And I literally was like, who's seeing that? Like, what does it matter?
Somebody seeing that, Mom?
Yeah, exactly.
You better buy him a little
Literally was
pack.
like, man, oh
You better buy him a
man.
pack.
All the
Yeah.
girls and boys on OnlyFans. That's who's seeing it.
Oh, if I ever find that out.
Yeah,
Man.
that's what's going on there. He's making
Yeah,
money.
I was like, man, you are 17. I forget.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
that
socks are standing
age.
up by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just asked him to bring the dirty laundry. I'm not going in there to collect it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my wife always asked me, why don't you separate your underwear from your jeans? I said, because I don't have a stick.
I'm not reaching down
I'm
there.
not touching those. No, I took them off for a reason.
You said that's your job.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Talking about raising adolescents. So I raised two boys before I had my two younger girls later in life. And anyway, my wife had been looking for this high dollar like lotion that she had bought in this smaller container, and she paid like $30 to $40 for this stuff. And she's like, I don't know where my lotion is. I can't find my lotion.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'll be back. So I went
You
to
knew.
my son's, bedroom, and I pulled back all of his winter clothes, and I get behind the box of, toys and crap and Legos he's put up. He would kill me if you knew I was talking about this. And so I reached back there. Sure enough, there's that $40 bottle of high-end
Oh,
lotion
my
back there.
God.
So I bring it back there. She's like, oh, my God, where did you find it? I said, you don't want to know. I said, but I got to run to Walmart and get some Equate non-scented. And the largest bottle that we got, they could give me. So I went to Sam's and bought the 2-pack,
Yeah.
the big one.
Yeah.
Dude, that didn't last hardly 2 months, man.
You said, y'all, you weren't supposed to go through it this fast.
yeah.
What's up, brother?
Say, calm down.
I hope that everybody is enjoying our deep sharing tonight, folks.
Yeah, we're definitely sharing.
Do you wanna jump
probably-
in?
Probably way too
Come
much.
on, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay, where you got to go?
Going back to the bees.
Well, you can hang out with us.
Yeah. You don't have
You
to
want
go
to.
anywhere.
I got nothing good to talk about.
Oh yeah, you do.
He's
Yeah.
got family in Texas.
Yeah.
He's about to go to the field in a little bit.
Well, just tell us about yourself. Jump in here real quick. Come on.
He's got
We're not asking you to sign NDAs. We're not going to talk about anything. You have to disclose anything else. Just put that on. Only one ear is working for right now.
mine's super distorted.
Oh, is it? Oh, so you got the bad one. How does yours sound? Does it sound bad?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
It's
so
good to him. All right.
so that's cool, man. So Lee got to work tonight, and he was a
So
little late
thankful.
getting in here, and he was working on a badass tattoo on a young man. And what'd you get? What's on your
I got an American traditional style bat.
cool? Can I see?
Bad head.
Like put it through the yeah.
That's nice. Lee.
Oh wow, that's cool, dude.
Yeah.
He's got a leg of American traditional tattoos, and
That's
they all
sick.
kind of follow that same style. So.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you're staying with the theme.
Yeah,
That's
he did
cool.
an amazing
that.
job on it, by the way.
That is, yeah.
Very
He
good.
does a really good job.
Yeah,
You're so
I-
fast too.
he found
Like
me.
I still
Damn
cannot
it! I
believe.
hate it when the women say that.
Oh, that was bad. Sorry. I just still can't believe
Yes,
you
this is
did
the after hours
two
episode.
tattoos
Yeah.
on Sarah within what an hour?
Something like
tattoos?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cowboy shooting another cowboy off a bar stool.
Oh,
Wow.
And I told her, I said, that's the most unique tattoo I've seen in a long time.
That
You
is
know?
cool,
pretty
man.
wild.
Are they on different legs?
Yeah, so
one on one
one-
thigh and one on
One
the other.
is, him shooting a gun, and the next one is like him kind of tipped off the bar stool. Like he
That's
got
cool,
shot.
man.
So tell everybody what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Aiden Leahy. I'm from Jacksonville, Illinois, small town in Illinois. Not much there. Well, there's not much here, so
Right.
it's not much different, really.
So
Like
you
you
decided to
didn't-
join
you
the
didn't
military.
leave town.
You decided to join the military to see the world, and you ended up in
Ended up here.
Leesville.
They sent you to
Yay!
Fort Polk.
Yep. Yeah.
Me and my brother have.
Where did you want to go?
I didn't have anywhere in mind, really.
Anywhere but where he was at.
And there's nothing wrong with Louisiana. I do love it here, but Fort Polk,
Yeah.
it's not. There's not much there. It's
No.
not, it's not it.
What would you like to see here? Like if you were like, man, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to
Blah, blah, blah.
where?
Yeah.
I've been around quite a bit. I've been here for like 2.5 years now. So, like in the state or
Yeah, like if you could just walk out the door and be like, hey, I want to go
A water
do
park.
this. Like,
Or-
do you want to go to a water park? Do you want to go to
shoot paintball or
I'd probably find myself back here, honestly. That's
right?
I'm just addicted to
Great
He
this.
answer.
said, I'll
That's
just
awesome.
get
Yeah.
another tattoo.
I,
Yeah, just
every
get a
time I
tattoo.
get bored, I end up here
right.
or one of these shops around here. There's a lot
Well-
of good artists
Well,
around
Lee
here. but
loves it.
I'm very happy here for sure.
Well, that's good. At least you found something you like. But I mean, is it food that you would rather like if you had more options in food, or is it?
No, I love the food down here. I mean, it's very different from what I have. Kind of. I'm from Southern Illinois, but still north. I love the crawfish, the gumbo. I love all of it down here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all don't use very many seasonings up there.
almost
No,
like y'all
not
are
really.
allergic to flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could agree with that. Yeah.
I know every time my husband, he used to go hunting in Illinois, and we'd make up stuff for him to take, and he'd freeze it, and then make a meal or whatever. And some of those guys were like, "Man, this is the best food we've ever had."
Oh, you're just drunk.
No,
it's
I'm like,
really
"Oh,
good."
good. Illinois is very cold.
It does get very cold,
Yeah.
like negative 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband's out there. I've got a few videos of him hunting, and I'm like,
Screw
yeah, I would
that,
have
dude.
been in bed.
Yeah, I ain't
Also,
doing that.
The cold down here, because it's the humid,
Yeah.
the wet cold. It's a wet cold.
Mm-hmm. a
It is. I
different-
think it's worse than
Yeah.
any winter
I do
I've ever
too.
I feel
felt in
like it
Illinois.
gets to your bones.
Yeah, it
here,
does.
You
It's like
know,
bone-chilling
it's a
cold.
lot.
Soaks
It's a
in.
bone chilling cold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That humidity gets you whether it's hot or cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Sure.
God, yeah.
So-
That's
So
what
did you
Sarah-
hunt up there? Do you hunt?
Yeah, grew up hunting. I think.
Okay.
I mean, you said your husband went to Illinois.
Yeah,
That's the biggest deer in Illinois.
yeah.
The biggest deer in America are in Illinois.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
like,
they are monsters.
Ohio, right around there. The Midwest.
I'm trying to remember. It's
Whitetail,
a
that
little
is.
bitty old town.
Wouldn't
Not
be his
much
little
different
bitty
than
old town,
Leesville.
would it?
No, yeah. Well, but they got to drive like 30 minutes to go into a town and buy groceries and stuff like that. But what was funny was these men would pay a lot of money to go up there and hunt, and the guy that owned the property, he managed a marijuana farm.
Oh yeah.
And he's very particular about, don't go in this. And of course, I'm like, bring me back something. What kind
Not
of
a
hunting-
deer.
Yeah, what kind of hunting you want to do?
Yeah.
But you're there for a week. You look for the biggest deer. They have something we don't have here, and it would always crack me up whenever one would just shoot. Like something comparable to here, and I'm like, You paid all that.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you go up there for that?
I think they pay for the rack size,
yeah.
right? And when you pick it out, and then the guy's like, okay, well, that one's going to cost you about $5,000. That one you
So
probably get away with about
they would
$1,500.
pay, to go up there, and he finally built like a new house because they were staying in. He sent me some of the videos, and I'm like, we could go to the Bahamas. Like,
Yeah.
you do know we could have took that money.
Your husband spending your Bahama money.
Yeah,
In a
he's like, there's so many
rent- a
flies in
rented
this old
shack.
house. You got to
Yeah.
go to the basement to crank up the heater, and it's like it's like walking into a haunted house. 'Cause he would talk about like the flies just be swarming, and I'm like,
I guess because of the heat.
I don't know. I guess
I mean,
maybe.
Aiden
yeah.
does get to do something fun every year around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, what do you do?
So my sister, about 3 years ago, she tried out for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
She didn't make it.
Oh.
Then she went back to college. She finished college at University of Kentucky. Went back to try out, and she made the team. So she's been dancing for the Cowboys for the last 2 years now. So we
Cool.
That is a privilege.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
them girls
They do a lot.
Well,
they
every
do a
every
lot.
Thanksgiving they go watch the Cowboys play.
Yeah, the
on
Thanksgiving
Day
Thanksgiving
game.
Oh,
Day.
that's
They-
cool.
they
That's
play
like your
every
thing.
year.
That's
Yeah.
neat, man.
They used to be the only team that played on Thanksgiving. Now I think there's like 3 teams that play every year on
Yeah, 2 or
Thanksgiving.
3.
But it's like Americana.
I used to
tradition,
watch
you know.
the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader show,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, that's gruesome. like,
It's a lot different now. Like they had like the like reality TV version of them making the team, but now they do like a it's called America's Sweethearts. It's more of a it like shows more respect to them instead of like a
yeah,
you know,
like, oh, well,
Dance
you need
Moms
to
or like that.
lose, like
Like drama and all
yeah,
that stuff.
Yeah,
Like now it actually brought a lot of like light to them because they weren't getting paid like very
Yeah,
very well.
yeah.
2-3 years ago, and then the show blew up. So like they
And
get
it's like,
paid a
yeah.
lot better,
Now
and
they
they
get a
you
little
get a lot of
something
deals
off
and all that stuff. You know.
Well, that's
well, that's
cool.
good. That's good
cool.
for the
Just
girls.
Yeah.
Just those
absolutely.
tickets are
Oh, man,
crazy
yeah.
hard to get. So that's
So she
kinda
gets
cool.
a block of tickets.
So every girl gets like 4 maybe for a family, just like at a reduced price. They're not
Right.
free
Yeah.
by
Not
any
free,
means.
yeah.
They're really still not even like that cheap.
Yeah.
If you want the
Yeah,
kids, like there's a
Jerry.
family section, where you can
Jerry
you can see
ain't
'em
giving
good.
nothing away.
Yeah, Jerry ain't giving nothing away.
But he's got a bunch of family in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my
People
great
live in
aunt,
Katy and-
great aunt and uncle over in Katy,
Oh, I like Katie.
and then my sister obviously she lives in Frisco. That's where like they train out of. Well, I think that's where the stadium's at actually.
Yeah.
It's not in Dallas.
Yeah.
Is Katie's on the other side of Houston?
Yep.
Right.
Shout
Yes.
out to
Yeah.
Houston.
Because I used to, when I would go to San Antonio, I'd always stop in Katy at that
The mall.
and
Yeah, I was
we'd get
gonna say it has
Rainforest
something to do with
Cafe.
shopping.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Katie Mills Mall.
Yeah.
Is what
Very,
it's called.
very nice
One
place.
of the crazy things, me and my brother, we've got a bunch of family in and around Houston. And when we were growing up, my father, every time he got stationed back stateside, Fort Polk is where we came. So I don't know if he pissed somebody off or requested it.
Right.
But we just quit asking.
Right.
We just knew
You're going to go to
we
Leesville.
were coming back. And I don't know if it's because family was right there or there were so many lakes or, what it was. But yeah, Fort Polk, it was like every 18 months or 3 years, we were right back here.
So how long are you going to be here?
I got another year, maybe a little less than a year on my contract.
Okay.
So
Are you re-upping?
yeah, I think so, but definitely not for here.
Depends on what they offer you.
So
Yeah.
if you can send me somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd honestly take anywhere else just to see it. I'd love to go overseas. There's like there's a place in Italy and Germany, a couple duty stations over there.
Nice.
Just to see the world.
Yeah,
huh?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Well,
go
if we
there.
keep it up, I'm sure you'll have your opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
Might see
Right.
a lot of the Middle
Yeah.
East.
So what's your MOS?
11 Bravo.
Oh,
Eleven
oh,
Bravo.
bravo. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
When you re-up, you think you're going to change MOS or you going to stick
I think I
with it?
definitely would at some point if I decide to stay in for. If I was just gonna do one more contract, I'd probably stick it out doing the same thing because I do love doing it. But if I was gonna like make a career out of it, long term, I'd definitely switch to something that
Not as physical.
not as hard on the body.
Yeah.
Applies to the civilian.
We were
life
just
and
talking
carries
about that,
over.
getting old.
Well, he's a young man. He's still got good
He's
knees
still
and
got-
his
yeah,
back's still
I'm,
straight.
I mean, I'm in the airborne unit, so like
Yeah.
for being my age, I have far more knee and back pain than I'd
Right.
Then you should, yeah.
You said I got 50-year-old knees.
How old are you?
I'm 20. I turned 21.
20?
And,
He's 20, but
2
he's got
months.
45-year-old knees.
Wow.
it feels like it sometimes.
What in the world, man? That's
Yeah,
cool.
he's a young man getting his career
Yeah, you
started.
really are young. So what? How old were you? You were like right at 18 when you joined up?
I signed at 17, like while I was still in high school, and then like 2 weeks after I graduated. Out.
So is it like there's nothing to do in this town? I want to get out and just go to the recruiter's office and be like, get me the fuck out of here.
Well, I actually love my town, and I will move back there one day. Probably.
Really?
It's about 20,000 people. I don't know what's the population of
It's like,
Leesville?
well, there's like 6,000 inside the city proper.
Yeah.
And there's probably 12 in and around the little areas.
Surrounding
Similar in
areas.
size. So yeah, I
Yeah.
consider it very small. I
Right.
think it is. I don't know. So I definitely go back there. I love it there. I love the small. I know everyone.
What does your family do there?
My dad owns a machine shop that
Cool.
his dad owned. He took it over.
Like generational, huh?
Yeah, I'd love to do
That's
the same
awesome.
thing.
Yeah.
It's worked out very good for our family. He does like welding, CNC, water jet,
Nice.
all that stuff.
Very
yeah,
cool.
it's been very, very
Does
good
he have
for
any
us.
like of the old lathes, like the old
Oh, yeah.
big,
long, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, two of
Whenever
them.
you go back home, send us an invitation. We geek out on shit like that.
Yeah,
That is-
I love that
We'll
crap.
build some stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Some fabrication.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's cool.
Troy can go hunt. We'll
yeah,
go
yeah.
fabricate.
I was about to
Yeah,
say,
we're
we'll
gonna go
all go to
fabricate.
Illinois and then we'll part ways.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna go shopping.
Yeah. No. So I've got a few clients that, have family. They fly back and forth to Michigan. And one of them, he was a pretty good basketball player here in Anacoca. And
Right.
his mama, because I talk about, my son's 17 and, just hardships of raising adolescents. And she's like, don't give up. She said, my baby, we cut him off. She said he was in college and we cut him off because he just wouldn't, doing this, doing that. She said, and it took that. He now runs a hospital up there,
Wow.
like doctorate. I
Right.
mean, just surpassed her expectations, but she was like, cut him off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Best thing you can do, man. That is really you're right.
yeah. She's like, it finally dawned on him. I got to make something of
You
myself.
gotta make your own way.
I got to make my own way. I can't keep,
Yeah.
Mom and Dad's been paying for everything. So I said, okay, I'll cut him off one day.
One day.
One
That's
day.
why
So
we got.
is Fort Polk your first duty station?
Yep. I needed the Army, and that's where a lot of people got sent. A
Wow.
lot of people still getting sent here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing a lot of military hair here. But I'm from a small town, and when I moved here, it's just small town after small town. You don't realize how big the world is outside, and talking to different people that come in. They're, like, well, this duty station had this or this. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely different when you
Yeah.
go to, Fort Drum or Fort Benning or Fort wherever.
Oh, yeah. Especially the
It's a
people with
different
families.
dynamic.
They're like, man, it's an hour drive to go do something. And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah. But
sure is.
it's kind of like Dallas, though. Dallas is the
Yeah.
same way. I mean, if you want to go do something, I grew up in Dallas, so anywhere with 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where
Oh,
you were
yeah.
going.
It don't
Yeah,
matter
it
if it's
doesn't
2
matter what
miles
part
down the
of the city
road.
you're in,
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
45 minutes
over
anywhere you
again.
go.
Yeah, that blew my friend's mind because she really had never been somewhere like Dallas. And, we were going out that night and she was like, well, you just don't pull up to the front. And I said, no, baby, that ain't like Daiquiri Station. You got to get in a parking garage and pay
Right.
for that,
And walk your ass.
and walk and then hope you make it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Watch out for the hobos.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, people tattooing, right? Just being engaged with the general public. Like I met Aiden, what was it, a week ago or something like that, and just listening to his life story, his adventure. I mean, that's what I love about tattooing. That's
Right.
what I love
Yeah.
about being in business. It's just you get a perspective from such a wide variety of people, and
The knowledge that you get, even from my clients, like what I planted this year.
yeah.
I had an older gentleman that was like, hey, before you put your tomato plants out, put Tums at the bottom of it. And I was like,
Calcium.
why? Calcium, yeah. And I'm like, that's what I love about older people.
Yeah.
They're just a wealth of knowledge,
Well,
you
I had a garden when we lived in Anacoco, and this thing was on steroids because I had tilled in
Fish
donkey
heads
and
Yeah.
rabbit droppings, but I had a problem with cutworms eating my tomatoes. Went up to the mercantile, and I'm looking for something to put on it, and this guy's like 90 years old, and he's like, plant sunflowers. There's this bird that is attracted to sunflowers, and the only thing they like better than sunflowers is cutworms.
Huh.
So,
So they'll
on
take
one
care of
side
that
of that
problem.
garden, I planted some sunflowers.
Sure enough.
and
Well, that
I
makes
don't
a lot of
remember what
sense
kind of
because
bird it
you
was, but-
see a lot of gardens with a row of sunflowers, on one end or the other.
I
That's
didn't have a
interesting.
cutworm problem. Didn't have to poison my tomatoes, and
Cool.
it worked
I
out.
had to move my cucumber plants because a rabbit kept like it would literally come up about that tall, and I'm like, oh, Tootie, look, it's growing, and the next morning it's mowed down.
It's gone.
Well, I was out there one day, and that little rabbit come out across there. I was like, oh, I got you. I'm thinking that's what my dogs are for. Y'all can't even catch a rabbit.
Lazy.
Yeah, literally.
Lazy dog.
Well, if you want to buy some rabbits,
Yeah,
train your dogs.
I know where you can find some.
we can train it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Train a rabbit dog.
Yeah.
So I dug them up, put them in some pots, and
Put 'em
they're
on the
doing
porch.
great.
Yeah.
The dog's
yeah.
the rabbit or the cucumber?
No,
Cucumbers.
the cucumbers.
The cucumbers, and then the rabbit's going in the pot
Yeah,
later
yeah.
on.
But we got cucumber squash.
You ever eat rabbit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up
Oh,
eating
yeah.
all the weird things.
Yeah, squirrels.
What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Waterfowl, duck, geese. I think that is some of the most fun.
That's
most
fun.
expensive to get into. So
Yeah.
like we just got a lot of good buddies who are like very into it, and we just go with them.
Go
with it.
When they got an open
You're
spot
like,
or
can I
when we want
tag
to.
along?
That's the way to do it, because really getting yourself into
Oh, yeah.
waterfowl, my, like decoys and
I did not
blind, all
realize
that.
that
dog.
crazy.
Yeah.
the
until
dog.
going hunting with my husband, and just before we even got on the water, we was out 200-300. I'm like, what? Jeez,
Yeah.
like.
Getting
But I
there.
tell you what, I told him, I said, next year you better be on it, because he cooked some duck this year that was just, it was so good.
It's like you get on that water and you don't come
Mm-hmm. You
back.
don't
to
come
it.
home until you bring the limit. Yeah.
Right. Nice.
But I've been out there a few times. It's a lot of fun. We've seen snakes, and last time they were down there, so with the it's kind of rearranged some of our bins down there. So Troy had ordered some new ones, and they were going to put them out. Well, it was Troy, my son, my daughter. She thought it'd be fun to tag along, and then a friend of his that he's always hunted with his whole life. Well, my son was walking through first. It was like a little trench canal to get back there to it. You couldn't take the boat back there. And he looked back and he was like, I stepped on, I felt something like move. And of course, being my son, they were like, oh, it was probably, redfish or something. It took off on you or whatever. Well, my husband's friend was like, no, I'll lead, just in case it was something. Well, he took about 5 more steps, and he looked back at my husband and was like, I'm on something. And he said it, he just kicked at it, and that gator popped up. And he said it was the funniest thing ever, because in that marsh, you ain't move. You think you're moving, you got all your gear on.
Yeah.
So he's hollering, run. And, Troy's like, we're getting it, but we're moving maybe 2 inches,
Right.
I said, I hate I missed that trip. I said, but it always something, either the boat. One day it caught on fire, and I was like, I'm not going back, okay, unless you
Right.
get that situation figured out. But it's always something.
Sounds about right. Mm-hmm. But it is a great time. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. All right. Y'all ready to take a break?
Yeah.
We are ready to take a break, and we'll be right back. Leesville Tattoos After Hours. Don't go anywhere.
I'm always.
Whenever you're ready to be bold, it's time for Magnolia Lane Beauty Parlor. Call 337-404-1703. Find them on Facebook or book your appointment through Vagaroo. Whether it's a beautiful cut, the perfect color, or just a fresh update, Magnolia Lane Beauty Parlor has you covered. They're right behind Domino's in Leesville at 1614 South 5th Street. And remember, be good to your hair. You wear it every single day. That's Magnolia Lane Beauty Parlor in Leesville. Call 337-404-1703 today.
Let's be honest, you don't want to spend money in a business that smells like an armpit or a dipsty dumpster. Here at Leesville Tattoo, we keep the shop smelling great with the help of Christie's candles. They're so strong, we rarely light them. We just open the lids and let them do their magic. Do your nose and your company a favor. Open some of Christie's candles around your place and make living peaceful a priority. Christie's Candles available exclusively at Leesville Tattoos.
Carrie Joe Photo Co. is the only choice when you're serious about preserving those special moments that only happen once in a lifetime. Weddings, engagements, graduations, grand openings, organizations, and events. Carrie Joe Photo Co. are the professionals. Need your event filmed? At Carrie Joe Photo Co., it's not a problem. With hundreds of special events, thousands of painstaking creative hours, and millions of beautiful moments and memories captured, Carrie Joe Photo Co. has all the experience you require when nothing less than the best will do. 337-591-1748. 337-591-1748. Carrie Joe Photo Co. on social media and kmphotoandfilm.com. Don't wait till it's too late to preserve your moment forever with Carrie Joe Photo Co. 337-591-1748 and kmphotoandfilm.com. That's Carrie Joe Photo Co.
Bad boy.
And skinnies. Made to order custom burgers with your choice of 4 different types of bread, or get an unburger with no bread. 52 different fresh toppings and 6 cheeses. Even get an egg, bacon, or alligator sausage on top of your custom burger. Locally family owned and operated. Now offering pizzas made to order from all the same toppings from the main menu. Philly cheesesteak custom quarter-pound all-beef hot dogs. And fresh salads made to order. Pair it all up with one of those famous shakes or ice cream. That's Fat Boy and Skinnies in Leesville.
Bad boy.
And Skinnies.
It's Carrie Joe, and welcome to the Truth Serum. Life is loud, messy, and a little crazy sometimes, and too often it feels like nobody's really hearing us. Like we're talking, but the world's not listening. On top of that, we're surrounded by negativity that tears us down when what we really need is more honesty, more support, and more real conversations that lift us up. So that's what we're doing here. The subjects that feel too dark or off limits, we're talking about them. Those uncomfortable moments you found yourself in and thought, I can't be the only one, we're talking about it. The dangerous, the taboo, the things people would rather sweep under the rug, we're talking about those too. Unfiltered, unashamed, unapologetic, and authentic. This is where the truth lives and where we can finally say the things we've been holding back. So pull up a chair, hit play, and let's talk about it on the Truth Serum with Carrie Joe.
He took his time. He was just as cool as the other side of the pillow.
Welcome back into Leesville Tattoos and Views After Hours. I think we're going to say this one's from No Man's Land because, well, we had a special guest in, and definitely want to thank him for coming in. And I think he's going to be back. I think it's safe to say it's probably going to be the only tattoo that comes with a podcast.
They're like, you also get a sit in.
Yeah.
Mom wants to watch, or his family, now's the time that you should just not watch anymore and watch your son and all the nice things that he said about you, because we tend to get a little crazy.
Yeah.
So disclaimer,
Just
this
be
is your
happy.
chance.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a little.
Scroll now.
Yeah.
The first time I tattooed
You've
him,
raised a good son. He's a good boy.
Aiden's
Yes.
a real good kid, and talking to him, man, he's
Young man,
he's
not a kid.
Yeah, well, anybody under the age of 25 to me is a kid,
Right.
You know,
He's
I'm
probably
so
a kid that'd
old.
probabh snap our neck if he wanted to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's
whoop
like,
my old
I know
ass.
things.
But the first time I tattooed him, I think it was on a Friday or Saturday, and
That was pre-injury.
No, actually, it was shortly after my surgery.
Really?
You
You were still trying to do it, huh?
He was the first person I tattooed after they removed my staples.
Okay.
So I had the staples taken out.
So which one did you tattoo on in that?
It was a big panther. On
Okay,
his
yeah.
thigh.
Wait, you talking about the one that was above?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I did
Wow.
that a week ago. So
He's addicted.
So he really is like, if there ain't nothing to do, I'm getting a tattoo.
He's planning out his whole leg. He wants like the 1920s looking
Yeah.
Wow.
patchwork stars but
Do you see that often that people that get tattoos, like, do you
Think
see
about
a
it.
lot of them that come in with a complete
genre.
thought process of like what I want?
Generally not that young,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started tattooing, people got a tattoo here, a tattoo there, and then eventually they had so many they were just trying to figure out what to fill it in with, and
yeah.
they do, the stars and dots, or they'd come up with some kind of. And in the East, it's a lot different. Like if you go to Oriyoshi in Japan, you let him know you want to get tattooed, and he asks you a bunch of questions about your occupation, your family, your history, and they design a
you
piece
don't pick it.
around an entire body part,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
and it's off these traditional wood block prints that have been around for thousands of years.
That's pretty cool.
And there's
crazy.
specific way, like a koi fish traveling upstream is going to have certain foliage in it because that time of year these leaves are falling off the trees. and
Oh, they've thought about
a dragon
everything.
has certain amount of toes. But so it's a very ritualistic process in the East, whereas in the West it's just kind of hodgepodge. But
Now, do people in Japan, do they get tattoos?
yeah,
They do?
well, it used to be culturally
I was about to
taboo.
say,
Right.
yeah.
Like they
But
couldn't
now they're
go to a
starting to do-
bathhouse and they couldn't participate in certain things. It was pretty much the Yakuza
Yeah.
and the underground.
Underground did all the
society. But
tattoos.
it's opening up. But back to your point, now I don't know if it's because of the popularity and the internet. You are seeing more people
Traditional.
Thought out, planned
kind
tattoos.
of planning out the body
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah, because I feel like some people, started tattooing, let's just say when they were 20, and by the time they got to 40, they're like, dang, I don't have anywhere left,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
don't have any more room.
Yeah.
But, I'm actually, I had a guy come in the other day, and we took a bunch of pictures of his arms, and we are going to design a tattoo, wrist to shoulder,
Oh, like armpiece.
an entire sleeve.
Oh, sleeve. Okay.
Yeah, and he has no
Armpiece.
tattoos. It's
Tells you I'm not
completely
even
clean.
Oh, wow.
And it's probably going to take us, depending on how often he can come in, 2 years
Wow.
to
Oh,
finish
wow. I thought you was
it,
about to say 2
beginning
weeks.
to
I was
end,
like,
2 years.
roughly.
gosh.
Yeah.
How much is that going to cost him to do like a whole sleeve? Theoretically.
They can run into some money.
I was
Yeah.
fixing to say, that's got to be thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Some,
Is- each
depending on the
tattoos,
nature of the work.
Yeah, and how
Right.
detail oriented and intricate. and-
Yeah. So you can, there's some sleeves you can get away with for just, a couple $100 at a time. You might spend $2,500 on it, $3,500, but there's some tattoos that can run the price of a car.
Wow.
So I saw a video the other day of a gentleman being put under for a back tattoo.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Yeah. There's a tattoo artist and a dentist that got together out in Los Angeles. They
That's
opened
where
a
it was?
studio in New York, and it's an entire spa, for lack of a better word. But they have an anesthesiologist on staff. Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. That's how he got his sleeves. Right. There's a bunch of rappers, influencers,
So they do
musicians,
it all at one time instead of year-long
Right.
process.
So they'll have a medical staff, an anesthesiologist,
Holy
and they may
cow.
have anywhere
Like, it
from
was
2 or 3
crazy.
tattoo artists to 6 to 8 tattoo artists working on them. Well,
Money.
minimum, you're looking $250K, $300K.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking like 30.
No.
'cause you're having to
Thousand.
pay the anesthesiologist, the medical
anesthesiologist,
staff,
yeah.
Oh
the
my
tattoo
gosh.
artist.
They have to monitor you this whole time, that you're
Yeah,
down. But that was the first time because, I was under the impression that,
no
tattooing was, you endured the pain for the prize at the end.
It's a process. You got to earn it.
Right. And so when I saw that, I was like,
They're shortcutting.
yeah.
It's like the cheat code.
Yeah.
And, for some people, it makes sense. Like, right, if you're a musician and you're on tour 9 months out of the year.
Or you're a professional football player and you got to be at practice.
So
You don't have very much time off.
There's some people that they can't spend 2 years getting their arm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But there's a risk involved. Anytime they put you,
Oh,
there was
man.
a
Yeah, I'd
be
YouTube
scared about that.
influencer that went, I think it was last year, he went to have it done. and he never woke up. They put him
Wow.
under for the tattoo process.
So he's still asleep like Sleeping Beauty?
They never got to the tattoo, and he passed away
Yeah.
shortly after they.
Anesthesia is,
Yeah.
it's just not something to play
So
with
is it
at
worth
all.
the risk?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just to say you've been tattooed.
I know a lot of people say anesthesia, if they've been under a couple times, they just feel like their memory never really just
Yeah.
fully is there.
Really?
Yeah.
But there's a whole social aspect to getting tattooed. Just like with, I'm sure doing hair, right? You're in somebody's personal space. There's very few jobs anymore
Yeah.
where you're in
Hands
somebody's
on.
personal space.
Yeah, you were like in that dude's pants. Like this.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like right there.
You don't get that close to somebody when you're getting your oil changed, when you're buying groceries, when you're
Getting a
shopping.
burger.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in depending on how long the tattoo takes, you may be with that person for 3 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours, and you get engaged in conversations. And some people, they'll put headphones on and they won't talk at all.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. Other people, they spill guts. They let you know all
Oh,
about
yeah.
their life and
Yeah.
That's crazy.
what
And I
they've been
love
through.
it because, if we're going to be here a couple hours, let's get to know each
Right.
other. If you're going to come back,
Yeah.
it's and I mean anybody can do a tattoo. Anybody can make a mark on the skin. I mean, can you make it look good? But it's about building a relationship, making a connection with another human being, more so than anything else. To me,
And
at
you
least
can
at
see
this
that
point.
with him because he's like, oh, this is my tattoo shop now. And more or less, like, I'm keep coming back and this is where I want to get my tattoo.
Well, and he's in the military, so wherever he goes, he's going to get tattooed. It's going to be like a roadmap of his life.
Of where you been. Yeah.
And I mean, when I was traveling, and
This is
doing
what
guest
Leesville did to
spots-
me.
Yeah,
This is how bored I was.
I was doing a guest spot in a big city, and one of the guys in the shop, he was like freaking out on some guy because the dude went somewhere else and got a tattoo, and he was like, "You've messed up." And I was thinking, like, where's this coming from? It's the first time I ran into that because I learned to tattoo in a street shop in a military town. So you might work on a person one time and never see him again, and you might work on a person and then 6 months later you see them and they've got 3 pieces from somebody in Bosnia and somebody in Italy and somebody down the road. I mean, it just wasn't that big a deal. You
Yeah.
know? It was
Like it's not going to
commonplace.
hurt your feelings if you
No,
went.
not at all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
your body. It's your
So he
skin.
flipped out on him and what
Yeah, I mean, it was like he just his ego got
It
bruised
just
or
hurt his
something.
feelings that he didn't come to you for that.
He didn't
Yeah.
come to him to
Yeah.
finish his work or get more work from him, and I was just thinking like, okay, man, whatever.
how selfish.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was also the first time I'd ever run into like specialization. People that just do lettering or just do portraits or just
Wow. There's that much clientele there that they can specialize.
right
in
in
something
a
like that.
large city.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
military town, in a street shop, when I learned to tattoo, if they walked in, you did the best job you could on it. But it was before the
No
internet.
regrets.
It was, yeah,
regrets.
It was flash everywhere. I learned to tattoo in JD Crow Flash. That was my in the apprenticeship. These guys that have been doing it for 40 years telling me, hey, you're about to fuck up. Don't do it that way. Do it like this. Hey, you're about to screw up.
He said, "Thank you so much for that."
Oh yeah. But I mean, I served a somewhat traditional apprenticeship, right? Like,
Right.
they had me doing stuff that had nothing to do with tattooing.
Speaking of that, where is the other guy that's doing that?
I talked to him a couple days ago.
Is he still doing it? Or?
Well, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to start bringing him in on the weekends. Between his daughter, his baby mama, his family, like he's getting his family personal space situation squared away, so
And
that
then,
he
yeah.
has the time to come in, because he he gets his daughter for a little bit. She has the daughter for a little bit.
So it's family things. Okay, so I just didn't know if he backed out or
No,
hadn't seen him around or.
No, I just didn't want to. I'm not gonna be like a dictator. Right?
Yeah.
You're
I
gonna
love
do
that.
This
Yeah.
At this time. At
Yeah.
this. I want it to be a very comfortable, easy flowing process.
Yeah.
You know, like with Cash, she'll came in and right at first she was like, you know, what about if we do this and what about if we do that? And I'm like, look, it's your space.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's a horrible idea, I'll tell you. If it's something that, you know, and there was something she was wanting to do. And I came back the next day and I was like, look, that sounds good on paper, looks good visually, but because of insurance purposes, public, you know, we're not going to be able to do that.
It just puts a halt. Yeah.
I wouldn't, you know, I explained why we couldn't do it, why we need to do it. And, you know, she understood. She was cool. She wasn't butthurt about it, you know, but I'm not going to.
No, I love that. Like, you know, working with people because you work with them, they 9 times out of 10 tend to work with you whenever, you know, something in your life goes spry.
And, you know, your family is first. So I'm going to let him figure out what hours work best for him because I need him all the time. So whatever gaps he can plug that I can't be here, awesome bonus.
Right.
I mean, it's,
I know I tell Sarah that all the time. I'm like, thank you so much for just being there, you know, like if I got to be out, it's leaving your shop it's hard to do. It's,
Ooh,
you
you're
know,
telling me.
yes, it is.
because you're like, oh man, what's going to go wrong today?
Yep.
But
And if you want to
thankfully-
get busy, leave your shop.
yes.
As soon as you leave to go do anything
Oh.
as minute as going to the bank to get change,
You're not getting that done.
everyone is going to show up and want everything right then and there.
Yeah. And, you know, I get those people, man, I came by 3 times the last month and you weren't there. Where were you at? Are you open? I'm like, oh.
The 3 times you came by, you caught me out. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got me.
Yeah. You're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I'm never there.
Yeah,
But,
I don't do enough.
we used to have clients that would, you know, well, where's Lindsay at? Or, you know, where's so-and-so? And I'm like, well, you know, they worked all morning. They got off at 3. But they just don't ever work. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, yes, they do.
They already put in
They done
7
put
hours.
in their hours.
You got
Yeah.
it.
That would always mess with them, you know. They'd be like, well, so-and-so thinks you don't work here no more. Well, did you tell her I was here? You know, I'm like, I did. I said, I told them you brought the table.
Not to completely change the subject.
Oh,
but
yes.
I know that most Europeans and the people that are listening overseas sort of have a preconceived notion of the United States. And obviously, the one thing that they don't understand is just how big the United States is.
Yes.
Because, you know, you can travel 24 hours and still be in Texas. In most countries, if you travel 3-4 hours, you're in another country. So, having said that, that notwithstanding, if you could tell everybody in the world that's listening to us something about the United States that would probably surprise them, something they don't know, what would it be? What would you tell those people?
Let me think for a second.
All right. While y'all are thinking about that, is anybody going to Mayfest this year?
I'm working.
You're working?
I plan on it.
You're going?
Probably later that afternoon.
I did notice that in the debates for the mayor's race that we went to the other night. You could see that there is a clear disconnect between having it out there and having it here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like somebody pushed that out there,
Yep.
and now they're wanting to bring it back down here.
down there.
So, yeah.
Well, having it on 3rd Street was part of the charm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you get the historic, you know, aspect of it.
And
you
all
know,
the food
really
trucks.
Leesville.
Yeah.
What was it? It was something about they were having trouble with, like, was it permits or something with the
I think
food
it was the
truck?
alcohol stuff.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
That's outside city limits.
Right.
That's what it is.
That's
yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's alcohol.
Well, also, you can't bring a fair into downtown Leesville.
Right, but I
A
don't think it
carnival
was ever
and
supposed to
rides.
be a fair. It's just like Mayfest. It's
Yeah, it was supposed
Yeah.
to be
Community-
like arts and crafts.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Local
Yeah.
musicians.
Vendors, yeah.
Well, it is all that, but now there's carnival rides.
Yeah, now they're wanting to do
And there's
carnival
alcohol.
rides. Yeah,
So
they're asking for trouble.
they're definitely expanding it.
Not for the best.
Well, you know, I guess the jury is still out because it's worked pretty well out there up until now. So, you know, we'll see. Now, the second exit coming out of there is basically in Chuck Owens' driveway.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to talk to him about that and see how they
what he
feel
thinks.
about
Well,
that.
Having
And then
headlights shining in
We
there.
know how every year, like, because I live out that way.
Oh, yeah.
And some years they have policemen that are out there working it, so traffic flows very nicely. And then I think it was like last year.
It was bad.
It was terrible.
All they had was that camera
yeah,
set up
yeah.
with the lights, and that was it.
And when people, they just form a line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I just want to go home. I am not going to the fair. I promise you. Like, can I just squeeze by you?
They're not going to let you.
Yeah.
I would say to people that are listening in other countries that are relatively small, one thing that we can do is we live in the country, right? We live in the woods. We have a lake that we can go to that's probably 30-minute, 40-minute drive, one of the largest bodies of water in the South that we can go to. We can go fishing. We can go skiing. We can
Wait, hold that
hunting.
thought, because on that note, it's the 8th largest man-made lake in the world. And to give you some scale of
How big it
big
is.
this is, that lake is 89 miles from south to
to
north.
north. That's how big this lake
That's
is.
how big this lake
and it's
is.
a really nice lake.
89 miles, which is 100 and some odd kilometers for people that are measuring it. And it's one body of water.
Yep.
And so just to give you an idea of just how big this country is, that's one lake right here, and it's 89 miles.
Right.
That's crazy.
So you can leave here, being in a small town, Louisiana, and you can go hunting in the woods about 5 minutes from here. And then you can go to the lake 30, 40 minutes away and be able to go fishing and skiing. And then you can take a drive south and go to the Gulf of America, as it's called now.
Yeah.
To
so hard
the
to say.
beach and go hang out and saltwater fish and crab and everything else. So right here, you can kind of do a lot of things. Or you can go to Dallas and be there in Dallas in 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
And I think of all those places you mentioned, Dallas is the only one you can't get eaten by an alligator at.
No, not
So
yet.
All the rest
I had
of 'em?
made mention one time. Nobody's ever swam Toledo Bend. Nobody's ever
swam the whole
north
thing.
to south or south to north.
Yeah.
Well, about the time you get to Blue Hole, you're in trouble.
But I was, messing with my clients. I said that would be interesting. People swim across the English Channel, things like
Yeah.
that. Of course, my clients was like gator bait.
Yeah, I
That's
was
all
gonna
I can
say,
think
that's
about.
not- yeah.
We were out there last weekend. Which kids are resilient. They kept that water's not cold.
Oh,
now,
it's
mind you,
cold.
it flooded Saturday morning about 5:00, and I told them, I said that water is gonna be it's gonna be good. Of course, I got on the tube and jumped in. And I'm like, which I did eventually get on the tube. And I'll just say, I hadn't done that since I was probably 20.
Were you sore?
What? And then I was like, okay, I got boot camp on Monday. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna walk in like this because just
T-Rex
holding
arms.
on, my
Yeah.
neck was so sore. I was like, this is pitiful.
Yeah, it's probably going to be 2-3 weeks of 90 degrees before it's
Oh, yeah.
good and
Yeah.
comfortable
I mean,
to
it
swim.
felt because I think it got up to about 90. So we were out there that day. So it felt good, but you didn't get out of the water, and just because that wind hit you.
Well, the thing is, like mid-August, right? The top 2 foot of the lake
yes,
feels like
and then
bath water.
It's freezing cold.
Yeah, you got to dive down about 4 or 5 foot to get to that 78-degree water.
You know what's cool about that lake too is that it used to be a town, several
Oh, yeah,
towns.
there's several towns
Yeah.
in
And
there.
there's before they flooded it, built the dam, there was actually communities down there, churches and houses and graves and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff down there.
yeah.
So I met this guy because we have a small camp up there. He was there, and he has a not snorkeling, scuba diving guide tour that he does, and he has this spot that he brings some clientels to, and it's a cave kind of thing. And over the years, he's been doing this for 20 years. They have taken things from the bottom of the lake or from other areas that they know, and they've like arranged it in this cave.
Oh, so you get to like
Yeah,
scuba
there's-
dive through.
Yeah, so there's like a potty, and there's bicycles, and there's like car parts.
I was about to say there's no telling.
And he said the last time that he went down there, he shined the light in there, and there was like eyes everywhere looking back at him. He says, "Well, I don't guess we're going to be going in there today."
yeah, detour.
Yeah.
Man, when we lived in Central America, we scuba dived a lot on but these reefs, and you'd be on the boat and you could look down in 30 feet of water and
That's
see the bottom.
Yeah.
So when you piled off the boat, I mean, it's just colors everywhere and different animals, and it kind of spoils you. The first time I went scuba diving in Toledo Bend
You're
was
like,
the last time.
What,
It was like,
what do you see?
yeah, they were like, this is really good visibility. And
You're
it's
like,
like
are you
6-8
kidding me?
inches. And I'm like, this isn't fun. This is like braille
Yeah.
diving.
Don't know
And
what
the
you
lake, the lake is down a lot. We put in at Pleasure, and normally, where the water would be up, it's just beach. There was actually like a little cave, and I looked at Troy. I was like, "Did you know that was there?" And he's like, "No, normally it's underwater." But I was like, "It's just crazy." When the lake goes down, you start seeing
stuff.
different things.
Yeah.
By the way, Wolf Rock Cave, bad first date location.
Oh yeah.
Ask me how I know.
Is that where you took her?
Yeah, that's where I took her. I thought, man, this is cool. I'm going to show her something she ain't seen in Louisiana. We got this prehistoric cave. We're going to go there. And she's like, where are we going? Then I show her the cave, and she's looking at me like,
Why are you
really?
trying to put me in the hole?
And I was like, get on in there, girl. Get on in the back. Get in that cave.
Did y'all go in it?
Well, I've been in it a few times.
You have?
But no, she wasn't getting anywhere
to
near
go
the
see that,
opening of
man.
that cave.
So I took the kids out there. 'cause I
She'd
thought it was
only
very
known me
interesting.
23 years, so she
Oh.
didn't have full trust yet. Right. Had to build into that.
Man takes you to a cave. Yeah. Oh my god. That just reminds me of my uncle. His wife is completely blind, and he had a tumor removed. He had cancer behind his eye, so he has, one eye he's got, but he's been using that for years. So of course visibility, but his wife is completely blind, and she ran the blind school in Ruston. They've been all over. They live in Washington now, but last time I saw him, he was telling me. He said, I took Joanne just on a whim. He said, you want to go see gorillas? And I said, you ask her that, knowing she can't see gorillas? And of course, he starts laughing, and he said, Mary, that was the funnest trip, he said. Because, it rained the whole time. He's like, we were having a track through and, just muddy from head to toe. And he said, we got up there. And he's like, Joanne can't see them, but all you can hear is, them getting, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, she takes in everything else but the visual. So I'm like, you could only imagine.
Right.
That's wild.
So that cave is it's a ancient, like,
they dated it back. They know there were people there 12,000 years ago.
holy cow.
And it was a passageway through. Now, and I don't know this because I haven't been to Poverty Point in years and years and
yeah.
years, but I would imagine all that's tied in together.
I took the family up there for a weekend, and of
Poverty
course we
Point.
get up there, and Troy's like, "You're on a mission," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I've been because the mounds really." This is just my opinion, I think that yes, it was Indian mounds, but according to speculation, there was giants that was found in a lot of these mounds, and Smithsonian's called in, and all of a sudden we don't have that anymore. It's just disappeared.
Or you can't excavate in the mounds anymore.
And they know those mounds run from Poverty Point all the way to the Gulf Coast.
Right, and up in the
Mississippi has
Mississippi
a
has a
lot
ton of them.
huge mounds.
Yeah.
It's a huge network. And when you think about the American Indian, and you think about how we're told that they were just living sporadic, nomadic lives, and it was just little pockets of Indians everywhere, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because they had millions of people and a huge trade network and a whole civilization built.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to believe that.
It
They
was
don't
almost
want
like
Americans
Mesopotamia here,
Right.
throughout,
Yeah.
especially Mississippi, Louisiana, all of that, because there's so many.
It makes sense. One, because we're Gulf Coast. Two, because the Mississippi River was so easily navigable by not only little canoes but big ships.
Yeah.
Roll up and down the Mississippi and have for hundreds of years. But the other side to that is the construction methods are remarkably similar
to ancient Egypt.
to Peru, to Egypt, to all the places
Aztecs.
where the LIDAR is discovering all these unknown civilizations. Yeah, our the construction methods, the artifacts, those kind of things that they find around Poverty Point over in the Mississippi all the way to the Gold Coast are remarkably similar. Now,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that's coincidence.
Yeah, no
People that have
coincidence.
no contact with each other,
Yeah.
never seen each other.
So when we were in Poverty Point, I was looking because I had it mapped out, and I was like, well, of course I didn't tell them. I was like, well, there's this really cool place, it's about 45 minutes away in Mississippi, but we just kind of ran out of time. But I was trying to hit those areas to really just kind of take a look at it, compare each place, and really the history on it just fascinates me.
You were talking about the interconnectedness, right? Mm-hmm. They dug up mummies and did testing on them in Egypt. They found tobacco and cocaine in all these mummies, Ramses, and a lot of it. It wasn't just like a little bit. Well, there's no coca plants or tobacco plants that grow in that region of the world. It was all from Central and South America.
That's weird.
Right.
So
how did
many
that?
thousands of years ago?
Yeah.
I think we've all been fed a big bag of lies.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And sifting through it, it's fascinating to see what we've bought into.
Because of how we were raised and the traveling, what we were taught to question everything. Like it's not a bad thing. Like you question the narrative, you question why you're being told that, who's telling you that. But it always surprises me when I meet somebody that's just like drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Believing what they're told. Okay, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's what the news said.
And I'm
I saw it on the TV.
Yeah.
It's got to be true. And
They don't
I
do
just
any
think,
kind of digging or research. Or,
Just so you know, our podcast is 100% truthful. You will never get any false
100%
information
bullshit.
or fake news and this is an opinion, it's just fact.
Yeah.
Okay? So you can take that to the bank and really, please don't take anything we say
So-
seriously,
Looping back around to Wolf Rock Cave.
except what she's about to say.
So, and I think it was Wolf Rock Cave. But when I took the kids up there, I'd done some digging on it, and so what I found was that it kind of was a hideout too for no man's land. Of course, it's Sabine Pass. They had set off some dynamite. The cave used to be a lot bigger.
that was in the 40s.
Okay, yeah.
So supposedly the military did that because of the contraband or something that was going on, and they didn't want the people to get hurt going in these caves. But the cave system was actually more vast.
Yeah, because that's
and
what
bigger.
I walked it. You could kind of tell where it was sunken in certain spots. Of course, I'm like, don't go falling in, But yeah, it seemed to be pretty vast. It went back a good ways.
Yeah.
Of course, I think I walked in about 2 foot. I don't do dark, scary, spidey places.
Me either.
It's definitely someplace you could find something you don't want to find.
Yeah.
So, so what do you
just
think
try
about
not to
like
look
telling
for it.
people about America or
So-
whatever where we
So
live?
people around the world outside of the United States, the geography is so different. The culture is different. The food, the weather, the music, the accents are different all throughout the United States. It's almost like we're 8 countries in one.
Just melted into one.
And we are a very young nation, right? So look at us like toddlers. We're kind of feeling our way through this, and we are not our government.
No,
Please
our
do
government
not
does not represent us.
think we 100% support our government, their policies, especially their foreign policy, domestic policies. We're
Fuck this guy, he ain't MAGA.
feeling our way through this. And, I've been paying attention to Great Britain. The Irish, I wish Americans
they're kicking off, bro.
had that backbone,
Yeah.
that spine, that
I'm sitting there thinking, like, these guys can't have guns over there, right? And they've been since
There's guns.
since the Troubles, right? They've gone after a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
How are they figuring out how to blow shit up? I'm like, man,
Well,
come on.
The other day, later,
They're doing great.
Earlier this week,
Because we were talking about that
what was
last week. The
that town?
Troubles.
Yeah,
and,
in Ireland, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Protestant, all
they're
that.
popping off. They're like,
Yeah.
the fuck all you will. We're blocking
Yeah.
up every interstate. But
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the town in England. They put up this AI camera, and it didn't stay up 12
No, they cut it down,
hours.
yeah.
They cut it down, crashed this thing to the ground. They were like, the hell you
Yeah.
will.
So the troubles are kicking back off, I think, at around Belfast, Ireland.
This was in, gosh, I can't think of the name of that town.
That was in England.
Yeah.
You're talking about. This
Yeah.
is in Belfast, Ireland.
Yeah, Belfast, Ireland, but all of Ireland.
Well, they are
was-
doing their damn level best to not let Conor McGregor run for their prime minister, president, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that dude can give a speech.
Well, there's a whole bunch of politicians that just basically are speaking how the majority of the people feel,
Yeah.
and it's not in line with either political party. Very similar to what's happening here.
What's happening
right?
here? Yeah.
You know, I mean, Trump's bashing the head over everybody that helped get him elected. That used to be MAGA. And
Oh, I know. I heard him go after Tucker the other day. And
Yeah,
I was
they're,
like,
they're after Tucker. They're after
"Man,
Candace.
Even on
they're-
the
Tucker,
left, right?
Tucker
If
really
you're
went to
not-
bat for you, you know?
Oh yeah, some of these people on the left, if you're not far enough left,
Yeah.
well, you're MAGA. You know,
Well, and
you're,
I feel
you're
like
getting kicked out of
Tucker
the tribe.
Tucker and Candace picked up where Charlie left off.
Yeah.
And, you know, once that they started talking about that, you know, it's just like, well, you have a low IQ and you know, I'm sorry. He was asking questions that legitimately needed to be asked. And
Yep.
what, now you hate him for it?
Well, they're the ones that said there's nothing to see in the Epstein files.
Right. Move on.
You know, so from
Move
there on forward, everything you say is null and void.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe a thing you say
Yeah.
because we know the Epstein files exist. We know who's in them. We've seen the evidence. We know still no prosecution, still no arrest. And they're talking about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell now.
I did
Okay.
read that. Yeah.
So, you know, and now Todd Blanche is the AG, you know, and he basically represented her. And he came out and said, there's nothing left in the Epstein files, nothing left to
Warsh
see.
is about
So
to
what
become the
happened
Federal
to
Reserve
conflict
chair.
of
He's-
interest?
Well,
you know,
meanwhile, Dan Bongino is posting every day about all the great things he did in the FBI. You had one job, fucker.
Yeah.
And you failed miserably.
Yeah, he's
and then
a
Cash,
Cash
good
Patel
Lord,
doing the
Jesus.
same thing.
He's
yeah.
just doing a jig in
Cocaine
his
Cash.
bedroom.
Yeah, same deal. And he's just patting himself on the back. And
Yeah.
what really gets me is them busting a child sex trafficking ring. Really? Because there's a fucking huge one right under
You
your
missed
nose.
the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna throw these plebs under the prison.
So
But yeah, so I mean, I just
and then
well,
then they busted the soldier who
Yeah.
made $400,000 on a bet that
Oh.
Maduro would be captured.
on the
But
poly
yet,
market.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yet
Yeah.
Trump's son can make 600 million
yeah.
on oil shorts.
and it's not just Trump's son; it's Pelosi,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Trump,
all of
it's
them.
every politician. They're all part of the Uniparty. The problem is they were saying, look, he had inside information to pull this off, and he used it. What if he didn't pull it off and
What
he
if he
was
just-
dead?
Yeah.
There was no guarantees.
yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't, you know, and do you think he was going to jeopardize his own mission
Yeah.
with his life?
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't succeed, he doesn't get the $400,000.
Right. So he had
I'm
hell of a
saying
reason
hella
to
motivation.
succeed.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
To pull
right.
that off. And
Yeah.
so you're going to punish a guy for doing an illegal operation that you forced him to do, and he's doing the exact
Same
same
thing
shit
you do.
y'all do,
Yeah.
but now you're going to punish him.
Yeah. And I think he's facing jail time.
Oh, 60
yeah.
years.
Yeah, it's something crazy. But
Yeah.
what's nuts about
Meanwhile,
it,
you can go rape underage girls if you're
yeah.
a foreigner and not even get a fine.
yeah, when Trump announced the second or third or fourth or fifth peace agreement with the Iranian war, there was like
Ain't lying,
It's
though.
not a war.
10-minute window. Somebody sold like $195 million of oil futures that they were holding, and then placed $1.35 billion
Like, where did that
of
tip?
trades on the market. Right now, who do you have to be, and who do you call to place that trade? That much money.
That much
Right.
money.
And then 10 minutes later, they announce, "Hey, we've got a peace agreement on the table." The price of oil falls. So they sold their oil at damn near peak, right?
Right.
And then the stock market, it takes a jump. So whoever placed that $1.35 billion worth of stock buys and trades
Yeah.
made like $340 billion or something crazy like that. Well, you don't gamble with $1.35
No, you
billion.
knew that was gonna go through.
Somebody
Yeah.
in that circle knew that was about to be announced.
That was the strategy, and it was
And if
this,
you notice,
this.
there's
yeah.
a pattern. Monday, hostilities kick off. Friday, peace agreements being announced,
Yep.
and
And
they're
then someone's
just
making
following the
bank.
market.
They're,
Yeah.
they're manipulating
so-
the market for personal gain.
You know, I've got a buddy that's hardcore MAGA, right? And he is dumbfounded that I just don't blindly support my tribe anymore. And I'm like, it's not about that. You've got to be principled, right? I was told no new wars. I was told America first. Make America healthy again.
We were
And now-
also told that the ballroom wasn't going to cost anything. But
yeah.
Now we're
private
building a
donation.
ballroom after a
Oh,
psyop with a guy that
taxpayer
didn't
money.
shoot anybody.
blowed my mind whenever I went back and watched the footage of him talking about how this would be free to the taxpayers, and then now they're trying to figure out how to come up with, I think it's like $400 million that
Yeah.
will come out of our
Yes.
taxpayer money. But
Well-
you back that train up. And you told us it wasn't going to. There's a lot of things that isn't adding up to what you
That's what
say
you're
and what
talking
you
about,
do.
yeah.
Glyphosate, right? Glyphosate is in Roundup. It causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They know it does, and they are now. I think there's a case in front of the Supreme Court to shield them from liabilities. And Trump has announced the glyphosate is now a matter of national security. We can't feed everybody without glyphosate.
Right.
Well, there's whole sections of the world that don't
use glyphosate. I was
about to say,
Roundup
like-
is illegal.
Yeah.
They can't spray it on their foods.
Let's go back, 100 years. We weren't
using
doing
that.
this. Like, I'm not understanding why you're telling me I needed it when every ancestor I
Because they
had
want to kill
lived
you.
without it.
Yeah, because we need less people on
Yeah.
the earth.
Yes.
And I look, and I agree with that. Bill Gates said it himself. We have to depopulate. We can't support 8 point whatever million people in the world. But stop trying to worry about them over
Well,
there. Let's talk about America.
They're trying to import people into the United States, into England, into Italy, name it, right? Because those people no longer have a home. They're not loyal to the Constitution, the flag, the country.
And where they came from was a hell of a lot worse than where they're at.
Right. And so they will go along to get
With
along.
whatever.
Imagine
It's called the Great Replacement.
if the English had the firearms that we do. Imagine if we had their fire, their
Right.
spirit,
Their passion.
right.
right?
Marry those two.
Two together.
You've got revolution.
And this idea that Palantir is going to keep everybody safe. I don't know if y'all read their 22 bullet
Yes, I did.
manifesto,
Their
yeah.
bulletin manifesto. I did.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Well,
don't
I
think
just
so.
want to know who give this man the keys to dictate the way that he does.
He even said that they needed
Like-
to start drafting people because we're going to
They
start wars.
thought, that
Like,
it
this is
a
a private
mandatory.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a private
company just
That's
gathering
saying-
up. And I don't know how many people are aware of this. Palantir comes from Palantirie,
Right.
from Lord of the Rings. It's
Right.
seeing the
The all
unseen.
see-
the
yeah.
globe.
Yeah. So, they're scooping up huge amounts of data of private citizens. Well, if being a private citizen is a threat to the government, you suck at governing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well-
basically what it boils down to.
By the way, there's 2 flock cameras in Rose Pine, one coming in, one going out. And if you'd like to know where they are, just go to dflock.com.
D-Flock?
Yep,
Okay.
dflock.com.
There used to be a website called trackflock.com.
Yeah, it may still be there.
It's 404, I think.
Oh,
Last time
okay.
I went there, it was 404.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
DFlock is still in business, and you can see every camera, the name of it, the IP address, and everything else that's going through it. You can also get a pretty good angle on them.
Nice.
So I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm
So
just saying.
I went down to go help a buddy of mine move in
happening,
Lake
Chris?
Charles
Yeah.
this last weekend. And he's like, we're going to take a route that's a lot longer to go to my new location from where we're at. And I hope you understand. And I was like, okay, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
And he was talking about he had routed out and it was a super long, stupid way to get there. How to get from point A to point B without going through the main thoroughfares that have all these flock cameras in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
They were everywhere. When I was coming in, I was like, they're everywhere.
Okay, well, tell me, in Lake Charles is one thing, Dallas, Houston. Why does Rose Pine?
Yeah.
Rose Pine doesn't need cops. I mean, there ain't enough people there to even.
No, I love
Right.
the sign that's like "Beware of the speed trap."
Yeah. Robert Kite put that up.
Yeah, I said, who
Yeah.
pissed him off?
Yeah, the Rose Pine Police. And at one time, the Rose Pine Police Department had, I don't know, 11, 17, however many
one now?
cops. They don't even need that. The Sheriff's Department could easily patrol Rose Pine. You don't need a police force. I mean, they're just ticket writers is basically what they are.
But that's a whole part of this psyop of authoritarian
Oh, yeah.
The network.
enforcement. You're going to
Yeah.
behave yourself, and you're going to do what we say, and if not, you're getting a ticket, and we're going to take your money, and you're going to behave and be a good little citizen, or we're going to throw your ass in jail, and you're going to be cuffed up and embarrassed. And
No, we're going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're going to take your freedom. You're probably going to lose your job. It's going to cost you a shit ton of money. The process is the punishment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then at the end of 2 years, you're acquitted. We dropped all the charges.
Well,
After you went through hell
After you
for
went
2
through hell,
years.
lost everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And that's what they're doing now with lawfare. Trump was bitching about it, and before he got elected, but now they're using lawfare on people to try to defend themselves against his administration that are speaking out and whistleblowing.
Yeah, the
Now
FISA.
they've got to defend themselves, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, do y'all realize or have y'all noticed that the last few cases that they've brought against politicians have all been dismissed on technicalities?
Yeah, look at how many
Yeah.
people haven't been prosecuted.
Well,
James Comey.
okay. Well, just take the ones that they have, quote unquote, gone after. They didn't go after him very hard. They appointed the wrong person. They
You hear
didn't dot
about
the
it for
I,
about
cross
3
the T.
months.
And then, we can't prosecute them because we had not that they're not guilty. Not
It's
that
the
everybody didn't
system
know.
protecting
And
itself.
if I
that's
had
exactly
done
what
that,
it
you would
is.
pursue me to the grave.
Oh, to the grave.
There would
Yeah.
be no dismissal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Mary. You're royalty. They might let you go. Yeah.
Cody.
Play your Indian card.
Play my Indian.
Yeah,
My
you
Play your
grandmother was
royal
Cherokee.
Indian card.
family in England. You're royalty.
Yeah. So, you should probably be okay.
I don't know what the tipping point is. I mean, I would have bet my eye, teeth, and 2 toes of your choice during COVID when they told everybody you can't go to church.
Yeah.
I thought that's when
Oh,
things
the Bible
were gonna
Belt
pop
should
off.
have revolted.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
seriously thought, and I was just like, you.
But
got to be
everybody
kidding me.
played right along with
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, they're so
Look, there
pacified.
was-
They're so worried
And
about
I
their.
won't say the church name, but there was a local church that this gentleman, I used to go to church with him. He, his whole family went to this church. Well, he passed during COVID, and the family, asked to use the church. Offered to pay, I think it was about $1,500 for a service to come in and thoroughly clean the church for after, because the church was like, people in here. So the family wound up not having the funeral there. And, it was just like, this guy was the music director. He did so much for this church, and that really,
Golly, man.
really, really hurt a lot of people.
Welcome to the PHB.
Yeah.
So, you talking about that?
I picked up what you put down.
Yeah. All right. So,
It takes me a minute,
well, you're right about that. The COVID was the litmus test.
Yeah.
Who's going to bite?
That's what I told him.
Who's not going to bite?
I was
And
called crazy.
I know a lot of people who didn't bite. Josh being one of them. Because an ordinance, a thought, those aren't laws.
no, that's not law.
Nobody voted on it. Nobody passed it. It's just your whim.
Mandate.
Yeah. I saw a clip of Todd Blanche,
Kings do that.
the new attorney general or AG, whatever he is now, the head of the
Intern.
DOJ, whatever, completely underqualified. But anyway, he said that they were going to have to, and I'm paraphrasing here, do a much better job of explaining to people their rights.
Yeah.
Well, I just posted, we the people completely understand the Constitution and our Bill of Rights. You're the ones who
That have
choose to
dropped.
ignore
Yeah.
it, and you know,
impose
Yeah.
things that aren't even in there.
okay,
You know,
you as the government do not give us our rights.
Mm-hmm.
We have our rights.
Yeah, you don't get to dictate.
You don't get to dictate them.
Mm-hmm.
They're inalienable.
Yeah, exactly. They're given by God,
That's right. Yeah.
not you. Despite whoever you think you are.
Well,
No.
I was listening to the radio, and it was out of Baton Rouge. Some legislature said that, there's a bill going before them to give the governor and the legislatures a pay raise because they haven't had a pay raise in 12 years or 14 years or however long it is. And that as the boss, they need to be compensated for it. And I'm thinking, like, you morons, you're not the boss. You're servants. You're our servants.
public.
You are,
servants,
y'all, this idea that we are beneath y'all. I mean, when did that come about?
You
When does the
forget,
government
yeah.
put themselves
Well,
on
I'll put you in I'll give you a perfect example with the guy that they arrested for betting on the poly market because they said our soldiers have to be held to a higher standard than Congress.
They're not the
Yeah.
politicians.
That's sad.
Yeah.
He's a soldier.
Yeah, he risked his life.
Yeah, he's not making decisions that are going to affect the entire population.
Right.
He was just making a decision to affect his pocket. You know,
His family, his
yeah.
well-being,
Yeah.
his team, the guys he's going in there fighting with.
Yeah.
That's who he's worried about. He's not worried about passing legislation that nobody wants
Right.
that you're going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
So, they don't think shit of us.
No,
No.
we're tax
Or
plants,
or they're
tax
soldiers.
donkeys. They want
Yeah.
us to shut up, keep working. Imagine
Draft your
thinking
kids.
to be a good patriotic citizen, you're supposed to pay your taxes. I mean, patriots shot people in the face for trying to get them a 2%
I heard.
tax on tea and forcing a
Right,
central
right.
bank on them. I mean, that's a patriot. I mean,
Yep.
you
And
can't
all it
budget.
took was a 2% back then.
Yeah,
you know, and
can't
I'm
manage
like,
your money. You collect $7 trillion in revenue every year, but you spend 9. And you expect me?
but yet
to-
I'm supposed to budget for 35% taxes at the end of the week.
I can't. And this big print that Warshaw's about to conduct. I mean, they're going to let these assets just roll off the Treasury's balance sheet, the Fed's balance sheet. They're not buying them back. They're going to force banks to buy some of them, but they want to lower interest rates too.
Mm-hmm.
The plan is to inflate away the debt.
It's almost
So
like they
can
want
you
to
imagine
crash
what
the
that's
system.
going to do to gas, groceries?
They want to crash the system.
If you're a saver, if you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, they're about to run a big metal spiky bat up
But
in
what
you
is
several
so
times.
bad is this has went on for so long. So like people that had
Since 71.
savings since, like they don't have it anymore, and
No.
like this, I feel like this
So-
is probably
Let me-
going to be the summer that everybody's like,
Let me-
"We're
well,
not
they
going
did
nowhere."
this in 32.
Let me explain how
Right.
absurd this is, right? You have a 401k. Let's say it's growing at 4% a year, right? But inflation is 6%. You're losing 2% buying power every year. And this man or woman, they work 30 years, 40 years, however long, old enough to get permission to withdraw their 401k.
For the money that you work for.
Well, now they have to pay taxes on that value dollar amount, but it has far less. You're paying taxes on a depreciating asset because they are inflating. They intend to inflate away $39
savings,
trillion of debt.
Yep.
I
Who pays for
love
that?
doing
Us.
a little experiment with my clients. I'm always like, how many times did y'all pay taxes yesterday? Because I just try and get people to think about that. You
Yeah.
know, you were taxed on your
Well, it's
paycheck.
baked in.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing that you do afterwards that you're still not taxed on.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean,
Most people are like, damn, I paid 9 times yesterday.
every
I'm
time
like, yeah.
you buy gas, every time you buy food, every time basically anything you
And then
do
your housing
comes
at the
with
end
a
of the
tax
year?
bill.
Look,
You're taxed on
a few
that.
years ago, I actually sat down, did a deep dive down this rabbit hole for taxes because someone said that Switzerland or Sweden is the happiest population and they have a 76% tax rate. Well, I looked at where their taxes were and where they were going and how much they were taxed. And I went, we're taxed more than that
Yeah.
because, they pay 76%, but that's it.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
done.
They're done.
Right.
So they basically keep 25% of their income. 10
And
years
we're-
ago, we weren't keeping 25% of our income.
Yeah.
It was going all out to taxes.
Wow.
And if it wasn't taxes, it was fees, it was fines, it was, all these other things that are taxes that they don't call taxes.
Yeah.
And so it was like, at that point, 76% didn't seem terrible. Now, reel it back in because it should be 0%.
Yeah.
No taxes
Well,
whatsoever.
I've got some friends, a couple. They bought a home down in Central America, and I think they paid $38,000, $42,000, something like that for this house, 1,200 square foot house, nice thing, and they paid the taxes on it when they bought it. They're done.
Wow.
They don't pay taxes on
theirs,
it every
like-
year.
Yeah.
They
And I
own
mean,
it free and clear.
I feel like when you own something, you should own it. You don't owe anybody
Well, no,
else
you pay the
That's
government.
not American.
You pay
And
the
I'm
government
just
the
like,
rent for the rest of your
no,
life
Literally.
And don't
yeah.
pay that tax.
to own it. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
See
they'll
what
get a
happens.
judge to sign a piece of paper that says
Yep.
it's not yours anymore.
All right, I'm going to switch gears here again because I don't know if y'all have seen this, but there's some videos going viral now of people asking Siri and some of the other automated things, and they ask what day Christmas is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
have y'all seen that?
Yeah.
No,
I've seen
haven't
it. I've seen a
That's been
couple.
going around.
I haven't.
Yeah. Says there is no Christmas
There's
on
no
the calendar.
Christmas
Right.
Yeah.
in 2026.
Yeah. There's
Well-
no Christmas. Now, that goes into some other things too, because the people are asking them questions, basically cornering the AI
Right.
to get it to admit things that it wouldn't ordinarily admit. And there's a lot of it. The other rabbit hole that I went down after that was the guy talking about Antarctica. Have y'all seen that
Yeah.
one?
Yes.
Where Siri basically lets it out that, hey, there's a lot more going on up there.
Yeah.
Than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm just trying to do a research paper.
Yeah.
And it just started sort of spilling the beans.
Have y'all seen the research project that won the Nobel Prize for physics? It's very, very interesting. It disproves Einstein's short-term reality thing. So,
Theory or
yeah, basically, he's showing how this is set up like a simulation.
the Matrix.
Well,
Like-
it takes a lot of energy to process stimulus, right? Sight, sound, feeling, smells. So our senses are not epitomized to see and experience reality. Our senses are optimized for efficiency. Just process what you need to reproduce.
And live. Yeah.
Just basically reproduce. That's the function. It's not to
Work all day.
notice
get-
reality.
Yeah.
And so why can't we see this broad spectrum of light? We see a very narrow bandwidth of light because we don't need to see everything.
Well, I do.
Why
I
do
see it.
why do we hear such a narrow frequency range? Because we don't need to hear the entire frequency range. That's why animals can see things we can't, and, hear things we can't. So the reality that we experience, I go back to the single photon experience. They were trying to figure out, is light a particle or a wave, right? So they cut two slits, isolate a
That's
photon,
crazy.
and shoot the photon at the two slits, and it turns out it's a wave until it's observed. Once the observer is present, then it picks a hole, and it becomes so. It is one thing until it is observed, and then
then
this
it becomes-
is multiple.
That freaked
All
me
right,
out.
I'm gonna throw another one at you. And did y'all hear about the discovery of the hidden server room at CERN?
No.
No.
Okay,
Oh.
so and this is worth
Here
exactly.
goes my rabbit hole.
Oh,
Like,
this is
I do too.
this is worth this is worth
I mean,
exactly
I don't like
what you're
CERN,
paying for
like
it.
I don't like what they're doing, but
Yeah.
I'm very interested in it.
Okay, so they expanded CERN somewhere between like 92 and 96, right? So they added on to it. They added another 26 kilometers or whatever it was to it, right? In the process of extending it, they ran across like old basements from old houses that had long since been gone. They they were finding things as they were digging this tunnel to extend CERN. All right, so long story even longer. They get it all buttoned up, closed up and everything, and they start firing off this, particle collider, right? In, I think it was 2020 or 2021, they discovered a room with ground penetrating radar right in a wall in CERN. Okay.
Wow.
So they went down there, they found it, they cut it open, they come into this room. It's a rack of self-powered servers.
Like, who put that there?
Okay. And it had code on it. Okay. Now, it took them forever to get into these servers to figure out what was on it, what it was doing, and all that. Anyway, basically the code ends at 2027. Wow. And it had a prediction on it for pretty much everything that had happened up until now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you say who put it there? Well, they're smashing these atoms, opening up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they know 17 dimensions now is what they've opened.
And I really feel like, our world changed in 2020, of course, COVID and stuff, but, they started firing off
Big
a lot of different things. And it just feels different.
Well,
I think everybody feels it,
to explain this experiment that won the Nobel Prize for Physics, right? So let's say you're creating a computer game, right? GTA or Minecraft, an open world.
Mm-hmm.
That code is programmed for materials to appear as the player enters that room or gets in that car or
well, they can't do it because it eats up too much bandwidth to have stuff going on in the background.
Nonstop.
This has been debated. Okay, so the reason that I am going to fuck this theory up, okay, is because when I leave this room and I'm not looking at y'all still exist.
Oh yeah, we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Mary's still cutting hair. Josh is still at Fat Boy and Skinny's. You're still at this shop. Chris is still sitting on that couch.
Right.
None of the background shit stops when I leave because the next time we get together, we're going to talk about all the shit we did when we weren't looking at each other. So I understand the concept, but the first time I heard it, I went, bullshit. Well, if we're living in a simulation, it ain't that one.
Yeah. Well, when you shrink things down, when you get to the small, right? The time space tends to become non-existent, and so that theory that won the Nobel Prize, it's not necessarily talking about our reality right now. It's when you get to the 10 to the minus 33 negative power, and the infinitely
really small.
Yeah. But it's an interest if you're into physics at all. Quantum mechanics.
I wish I was. I love to hear about it, but as far as like mathematics behind it, I'm like, oh God, please.
Well, my favorite theory, and I thought I came up with it, but I didn't. It's been postulated.
Like, I tried to give myself credit.
Well, I thought, why hadn't anyone else smarter than me thought of this? Well, they have. I just hadn't met them yet.
Just didn't know they were that smart.
Yeah, well, and I knew I wasn't that smart. That's why I couldn't believe no one else had come up with it.
What?
I'm like, if this dummy is coming up with these theories, I mean, someone's dropped the ball. If y'all are counting on me, we're up shit creek without a paddle. But
so what was it?
Okay, so they can't explain dark matter, right?
Right.
They have no idea what it is. They know you can't put dark matter and light matter together, otherwise it'll, So they also know through quantum entanglement that absolutely everything in our quote unquote simulation is tied to each other. The butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
My theory was dark matter is our collective conscience.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason we're here is because we're conscious.
It's unorganized information.
Right.
Yeah.
If there were no humans, none of this would exist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kind of like their theory of it's in front of you. If it's not in front of you, it doesn't exist. Well, that was my theory with dark matter. Dark matter is our consciousness as a whole, as humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You take humanity out of the question, there's nothing.
What about dinosaurs?
What about them?
I mean, we weren't there to observe that, supposedly.
Yeah, well, you have to remember.
Existed.
You have to remember, Jesus was real busy burying them bones before he left. So
I know there's so many speculations on that.
There's a painting.
Honestly, guys, and I'm being dead serious about this. I think they got it all wrong timeline wise because I think humans were here when dinosaurs were here.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, to the point, turtles, alligators, birds, all dinosaurs, and we're still interacting with them.
Well, there's
Sharks.
a painting.
Sharks.
I don't remember the artist, and somebody can Google this for me. I don't remember. It's like 1492 or 15, but it's a landscape, and there's people migrating. They're very, very small, way off in the distance. And if you look at that train of people, they're riding what looks like Brontosaurus and Stegosaurus, and so there's temples in South America that have images of what looks like dinosaurs.
Well, and I was about to
carved
say
onto
all the
these.
cave paintings of dinosaurs. Those somebody had to draw that.
Observe
Yeah,
that
they had to
to
see
see
it
So
to.
I think our timeline's all jacked up.
And
I don't
and
think
I've
it's
heard
nothing like
theory
what they
of
tell
that
us.
that we're like off by 1,000 years. If you go biblically,
Well, we're off by like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
If you look at the Gregorian calendar before he changed it to a 12-month year, we had 13 months. 28 days. 28 days lines up with the cycle of the moon. It lines up with the cycle of women. It lines up with a turtle has 28 sections on the outside of its ring. It's got, so
I think Muslims still use the 13.
there's a bunch of
calendar.
China does. I
China.
mean, that's why China's in the year, what is it? 6,000, 4,000. I don't remember what it
Well,
is.
North Korea just uses Kim Jong Il, so they're in year like
you tell
53.
me what year it is.
Yeah,
You're being
yeah.
put to death because you didn't mourn hard enough.
Which that's another thing I wanted to bring up because to tell all our overseas listeners that are going, well, why the hell are you attacking Iran? Because they don't have nukes yet. If the nukes were really the problem, we'd be in North Korea yesterday, and we're not. Why? Because they have nukes.
Yeah.
So I don't want any foreigners thinking, well, you're attacking it. No, there's a reason. There's a reason. They have
there's
oil
this-
and they don't have nukes.
And they don't have a Rothschild central bank.
Correct.
That's the big one.
That's the
right
big
there.
one.
Yep.
They
want
are
to
a
control
leak
the currency.
in the plumbing. Of
What's really
the
funny is
central banking system.
the administration going crazy this afternoon about we wiped out their military, their navy's at the bottom of the. We still can't get stuff through the strait.
Yeah.
So make that one make sense.
What did we accomplish?
Yeah, what did we accomplish?
No.
Higher gas prices, a bunch
Well,
of
I don't
insider
think-
trading on oil.
Yeah, I don't think the goal is to win the war.
No.
Well, no,
I don't
no.
think
The
that's
goal
the
is to keep it
priority.
going. Yeah,
It's
the goal
control.
is to sacrifice kids like Aiden
Right.
I mean,
for corporate profit.
when the
That-
fertilizer quits getting delivered, I saw
It's controlled
read a thing or heard a
demolition.
thing where the earth itself, if you just plant, can support about 2 billion people without fertilizer. With fertilizer, that's why we've got however many billion. Once you lose the ability to fertilize soil and move that food around, you're gonna start reaching starvation level.
I know, and there's such a particular way of planting. You talking about moving it around. I've talked to a lot of elder people that they've done a garden in the same area, but they move what they plant to
rotate the
certain
crops.
areas. They rotate it, and I'm like, nobody. That's not taught anymore.
Ukraine is that black soil in Ukraine. That's the breadbasket of Europe, right? We have the breadbasket, our breadbasket in the Great Plains of the United States. It was some of the most productive soil for decades, but now we've got Bayer partnering with Monsanto, and we've got
And
genetically
you've
modified
just-
seeds.
yeah.
You can't replant those seeds. You have to buy new seeds.
to buy 'em every
Now,
Yeah,
you
every
are
time.
fined if
year.
they find a Monsanto seed in another, let's say, another field.
Another country.
Yeah,
Let me-
they don't
let-
want that to get out.
Let me just tell you guys that when it hits the fan and you can no longer go to the grocery store to get groceries, y'all can come to my house. I got a nice little garden. Just don't touch my radishes.
You can keep the radishes.
So they're
will.
also giving, or Trump is also giving Peter Thiel and Palantir the technological oversight of our food production and movement.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What could possibly
Leonardo
go wrong?
DiCaprio is a huge investor in I can't remember the name of the country. I'm sorry, I can't remember the company, but it's actually a company that was started in Israel, and he's been given billions of dollars. But you and I were talking about it, the cow cells, and they're growing this meat, and I'm just like, what happened to just raising a cow? You know,
fake food
it's
production.
they're totally, you know, pushing this, and I'm like, you know, I don't even know what 20 years from now is going to look like, what our plate will look like.
It's not going to be what we're looking at now.
Unless we have a revolution.
Well, I mean, I'm all for nonviolent civil disobedience. Let's just stop.
Let's just stop.
So
Let's
I do
stop
know
complying.
that this year there's 4 main events that I've been keeping up with, like blackouts, as far as like we're not shopping that day.
Right.
I'll have to get the dates because I just saved that video the other day. But, you know, there's this huge community, you know, that these people are like, stop the shopping.
Yeah, we don't
Cut
need
it out.
100% compliance.
Yeah.
You know,
If we can just get
30
to 40% of these people, you know, to just stop feeding
stop
that.
feeding the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Like,
start throwing wrenches in the
You
gears.
don't. I guess people just don't understand. You know, you think you're just one person, but you combined with whoever else, when y'all don't shop that day, that company.
My
Ooh, it
son
looks
has
bad,
a
you know?
theory, and he had me laughing, but it's accurate, right? Americans have been programmed
We
to
need
be consumers.
Oh yeah.
You ain't shit if you're
What
not
you
consuming.
see on TV, you know, I
If you
gotta
don't
have that.
if you don't have the money for it, put it on a credit card.
Yeah.
If you don't have the credit card space to do, you can buy now and pay later. I mean, consume. You have so much shit you can't even put it all in
Yeah.
your house. You've got to go rent a storage unit
Yeah.
to fill stuff up.
Stop talking bad about me right now.
I was about to say, yeah, I have a
Please.
house full of stuff.
If you don't buy enough stuff, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
If you don't have this new phone, you're not cool.
Fight-
If
I'm
you
gonna-
don't
I'm gonna-
have this car.
Fight Club.
I'm going to tell you right now, man. The last 2-3
That was the first part of
purchases
that Fight Club.
that I've made, man, I just felt icky.
yeah.
You know, I was like, you know, I didn't really need this. It was just a vanity thing, and it wasn't expensive stuff.
Yeah.
But I was
It's
just
just like, I
like,
don't
you know,
really
I think
need it.
I think I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now when I look at stuff, I'm going, is this going to make my life better?
Yeah.
Is this going to?
Yeah.
Well, now I think that the
Or will I need
governments
this $100 for gas next week?
are now trying to control the demolition of our whole Western culture, because now they're creating a crisis. They knew the response from Iran. They've gamed all this out, and they knew that it was going to affect everybody on a global scale. They knew that it was going to create famine. They knew that it was going to create war. It's going to create strife, and it's almost as if they're ushering in the apocalypse of what they have to have for a certain entity to come into power, right? So for the Antichrist to make an appearance, you had to have certain things happen. And so they're doing a controlled demolition to where it's not going to create a revolution per se. It's going to create just a downgrading of our current paradigm of where we're at. But they control that demolition, and it's on a scale, and it's on a numbers basis to where they can control it, right? Because they have to control that.
Well, they
need to get us.
slowly.
They need to get us to third world country levels,
Right.
For everything,
Right.
So the entire world is working on sort of the same pattern, the same,
Right,
the
because
same
they want to.
Well, they want to eliminate poverty.
They want to
Agenda
eliminate
2030,
poverty. Yes.
They can't. There's not enough resources for them to bring up the bottom half of the global
So of
population.
course you have to bring this side down,
it's
so
much
we're all on
easier
a
to
level
bring
playing
down the
field.
wealth.
But in order to do that, that's why they have to have these huge data centers and all this information and all these cameras and all this social credit and all these ways of controlling the currency digitally, because they have to force us to be poor or to be poorer than we are
Well, you
right
can't
now.
control cash,
and they
so
need to
it is
force you to be
easier.
compliant.
Well, the other thing that I don't understand is, and it used to sort of bother me when I was young, when I would hear them say American exceptionalism. Because having grown up overseas, you know, I would come back and I'd go, I love my country, but exceptionalism? The exceptionalism of America is its freedom that it allows its people, which is why we invent all the shit, why we, you know, I mean, it's like, if someone else invents something, we're kind of like the Japanese now. We take it and we would make it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether we invented
New
it
and
or not.
improved. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were no reins on people inventing stuff.
Capitalism.
Yeah. Well, and capitalism has now turned ugly
Well, it's
because
became corporate greed. And
because they've partnered with the government so they can just steal your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No different than communism. You make it, the state owns it. You don't get anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, it's all, well, we're in the same, we're in the same boat.
It's like we're told, there's no ceiling here in America. You can be whatever you want to be, but it doesn't matter how much you make because they're still going to take, It's like,
Well, there's an energy secrecy
be off the charts there.
act, protection act of government. So if you create an energy device that's more efficient than 41%, you have to submit that design to this agency, and they'll determine if they're going to take it.
It's like a patent. Is that what you're talking about?
They just don't want you disrupting the energy
The system.
grid.
Yeah.
They want to control resources, and
Well-
that whole globalist agenda. Now they're going after water.
Yeah.
I saw Warren Buffett, OG of stocks and trades, talking the other day, and I was like, okay, I like what he said. He said, I wrote my check for my taxes this year. I think he said it was 4 point something million. He said that did not bother me to write that check.
Right.
He said, the American people shouldn't have to pay taxes. Like,
No.
coming from him, I was like,
That wasn't
well, I
how
like
this
it.
country was designed.
So he said, you could have 4 or 5 companies pay their taxes and pay their taxes appropriately. Say each of them gave, 4, whatever. He said, the American public would not have to pay a dime. And I was like, thank you.
Well, you have to live within your means.
Yeah.
You can't pull in $7 trillion and spend $9.
Well, it
Yeah.
never
That
was
math don't
about
work.
that. It's about enforcement, and it's about
Compliance.
compliance and control.
Well,
I'm
right.
seeing like a lot of billionaires now. They're kind of getting together on these little groups, and they're having major discussions because of the Molotov cocktails that been burning
yeah.
stuff down. They're like, oh, they're coming for us with their
CEOs getting
pitchforks.
shot.
Yeah.
Well, this has happened throughout
And
history,
I'm like,
right?
did you
I mean,
not think it would? So a lot of them are talking about a redistribution of wealth. But it's like, I love watching them because, one guy, he's all for it, and then there's 3 underneath him, like their faces are just like, dude,
Yeah,
shut
they're all
up,
pouty.
shut
They're like,
up.
we're not
Yeah.
giving away
I'm
our
not
wealth.
giving away my money.
There's a group, I can't think of the website, but I'll send it to you when I run across it. They're basically rewriting new standards, and that's what they're saying. They're like, there needs to be just a massive redistribution of wealth.
Yes.
You can't have 1% owning 90% of the wealth and
that's
expect the system
that's
to
what
work.
the billionaire he was talking. I wish I could remember his name because I really loved. At first, when he started talking, I was like, I can't get on board with this guy.
Well,
but he got to talking a little more, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Cody brought
I
up
like
the
it.
fact in the 2008 financial crisis when they bailed out all those banks,
Mm-hmm.
that money could have paid off everybody's mortgage
Oh,
and bought
yeah.
everybody a house,
Yeah.
right? So under these new guidelines or the Constitution, whatever you want to call it, this group is creating, like healthcare. It's not going to cost an American a penny to have healthcare. Corporations are going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Mortgage taxes, property taxes, nope. Corporations are going to pay for that.
That's what he
they're not.
was
They're
really
not owning
saying was,
land. Corporations
We've
will
got
no
to
longer
take back some
They're going
of
to rent
the
it from the American people.
issues. Yeah.
They are trying to redesign this social contract
Mm-hmm.
where corporations don't get to capture government agencies and
Mm-hmm.
build the rules to benefit them. Because right now
That's what you have.
we've
Mm-hmm.
got capitalism for
corptocracy.
us
Well, and they're protected.
and
you know.
socialism for them.
Yeah.
Corptocracy.
We take all the risk
Mm-hmm.
and we pay for it. They take all the risk and we pay for it.
I always say this is the
They don't.
worst MLM
Yeah.
program I've ever been
That's
a part
exactly
of.
what it
Because
is.
we
Exactly.
the little marching ants down here, and everything goes up to the
And
top.
that's why I'm saying, I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see people getting shot in the street. I don't want to see a civil war. Revolution, okay, I'm cool with it. But,
Yeah. But keep it cool. Yeah.
the nonviolent civil disobedience, this system only works because we participate. As soon as we stop, as soon as everybody goes to the bank and say, hey, give me my money, the banking system's going to shut down. They don't
Sad
have
thing
enough
is,
money
like, the
to
amount
cover
of people
everybody.
that will be lined up pissed off because they can't get any of their money out.
the
But
only
most
reason
people
why
don't
they're not-
understand that.
Yeah, most people aren't lined up pissed off now because they think they have
Yeah,
money
they're like,
in the
on their
bank.
card.
All
Yeah.
my money's sitting in the bank. And
yeah.
I'm like,
It's
no, it's not.
You know, when people okay, so let's not make a bank run. Let's just nobody go to work on a Monday. A random Monday.
There's a whole segment of the population that does that 7 days a week, and we pay for them.
Yeah.
Well, trucks don't run, trains don't move, boats don't float.
Well, and it's such a
just
it's
shut the
almost like
shit
the
down.
perfect storm because you have us in a pickle because right now it's like some people can't afford to not go to work, and it's like you've
Right.
pushed us into this corner that it's even
know
so
what they're
hard
doing.
to retaliate, you know?
People can't afford to go to work. You can't afford groceries. You can't afford living expenses. You can't afford medical care. You can't
Well, they're
afford.
coming up with the
fuel.
guaranteed income.
Oh, that
Right?
I mean,
universal.
We're going to
basic.
save you.
Well,
This
just
is
so
the
you know,
problem.
we're $30 trillion in fraud, not debt.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
it.
more than
we don't
that.
have a spending
39.
problem.
Yeah.
We don't have an income problem. We've got a fraud problem. We've
Yep.
got a massive fraud problem.
All right,
need
we're going to
a
have to
oversight committee.
getting close to wrapping it up, but a couple of things that I wanted to touch on before we go to the folks overseas. Yes, we have lots and lots and lots of guns. Lots of guns.
And we love y'all.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think it's safe to say that nobody's been in this building today that wasn't armed. Okay, so that's a guesstimation on my part, but I'm willing to bet that it's a good one. What you are going to hear is that America is gun crazy and we have lots of murders. What you're not going to hear about is all the times a good guy with a gun saved the day, because the FBI likes skewing those figures, so it just looks like if you have a gun, you're killing people. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a poll since I'm just going to assume everybody in here has a gun. Who in here's murdered someone?
That we can talk about. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Other than Mary, who in here's her? No, what I'm saying is it's not the gun.
No,
It's the people.
It is who is behind it.
And
that
the
pulls trigger.
FBI, you can't trust them as far as you can straighten Cash Patel's eyes out. Okay? They lie coming and going,
He
and
went
their
there.
figures are horrible. If you look in the race category, non-white, non-Hispanic covers everybody. So if they're
Mouthful.
Middle Eastern, if they're
White,
from some other
non-Hispanic.
country, yeah, that's the box they tick, and so they come up as white. If you were to take everybody that wasn't Euro-American, I bet the numbers would look vastly different because of that. So I don't trust the FBI stats at all, but I would tell people that are from foreign countries that are coming over here, unless you're in a major metro, as soon as you get out of the metro, especially below the Mason-Dixon line, but it works this way in Michigan and Wisconsin and a bunch of other places I've been. Anywhere there's country, there's rural people, you're going to find weapons, and a lot of them. And people that know how to use them, that are very well versed in them. Not the people you see in the inner city that's holding the Glock upside down over there, not going to hit the broadside of a barn. We're talking about people that can shoot the balls off a gnat from 100 yards. So it comes with responsible gun ownership. If you don't have responsible gun ownership, you don't need to own the gun anyway. But we have a lot of guns, and that's what I would tell the people that are overseas listening. The reason that Japan said they didn't invade us in World War II is because there was a gun under every blade of grass in the United States. That's what their emperor said. I know that's changed in major metros, but it has not changed at all out here in the country. So what you hear about the country and the guns and the gun violence, yes, it's right, but two, it's wrong. Because the reality on the ground is, if you pull out a gun in the middle of Pitkin, well, first off, no one's going to think twice about it
Yeah.
unless they don't know who you are. In which case, you're probably not going to be in Pitkin very long. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're coming to the United States and you're kind of scared of the gun issue. Don't be. As long as you're cool and around cool people, you're fine. You go to some sketchy places, some sketchy neighborhoods, you're probably in trouble.
I feel like we have a lot more responsible gun owners than we do irresponsible ones. here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, part of the issue with foreigners trying to get a visa to come to the United States, unless you've got an NGO getting you here, they want your last 10 years
Yeah, I
of
saw
social
that.
media post and text message. They want all your contacts. They want, they
Palantir's already got it.
For a
Crazy.
lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Which to Cody's point, my coffee cup has a gun.
Yeah. The coffee mug has a
My
gun.
Texas coffee cup.
Right.
Yeah. So there. Yeah. That's sort of the point I was trying to make. But Mary, anything you'd like to tell our overseas audience about the United States?
No, I'm just.
Other than Mary's royalty, and not everybody here looks like her. So
I know. I went to Mexico. They were just. Oh man, they petted me. You know,
yeah.
it's like blonde hair, and I'm
yeah.
I did that too, but that cost me like $50.
like, so I had to pay for it.
Yeah. I thought you were saying you were petting Mary. I was like, I thought that was someone else.
Wait.
Pet me, but it cost me
Yeah.
$50.
Don't make me call your wife.
That's funny.
No, I love America. I do. I disagree with some of the things that we kind of have got on board with, and you know, America is still great.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know. I'd love for people to come and visit. I just would hate for them to get the wrong idea, you know. But
Yep.
I think if you're going to come visit Louisiana.
There you go.
There you go.
I think we have a level-headed group of people here, you know.
So I had a buddy of mine come by, and we were closing up, and I was like, "Oh, dude, you know, we've already shut the grill down. We're done." He's like, "No, man, I didn't come here to eat." He's like, "I want to show you my new guns I bought." So he's like, cracks the car open. He's got like 6 different pistols he bought, 2 different lowers, and I was like, "Oh, sick, dude. Let's take them out." And he's like, "Well, I came from California before here." He said, "Can we like open them up out here outside of the car?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude." Crack them out. So we were right there on the picnic table outside the business, like looking at all his guns, and people were driving by. He's like, "Nobody even looks over here." I was like, "Nope."
This is just well, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Like my daddy always had a gun rack. You don't see that anymore. you know?
Notice somebody bust your window to get your
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah. Well, I'm so old. When I went to high school,
Yeah, you could carry
the
guns.
trucks had gun
Yeah.
racks
We
with,
had guns.
with 22 or a shotgun sitting in
Yeah.
the back of the,
Yeah,
the gun
that's
racks.
cool. Yeah,
I mean, because guys went hunting,
Right.
girls went hunting
And then they
before,
just
after
put their
school,
gun back in their car,
but
yeah.
it was no different than the fishing pole in the back of
Yeah.
the truck, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
nobody thought anything of it. Nobody stole
now
your
it's
stuff.
illegal to
and-
fish without a license.
Well,
Yeah.
You know?
You could
it's
do 10
crazy.
years. No.
And now they're right. So I'd like to tell everybody that we love our country. We don't like our government, and our government no longer represents us, nor does it represent the world. And to fight tyranny is God's calling and humanity's calling. And for us to really try to find a way forward is going to have to be against tyranny and against Palantir and all these deep technocracy embedded.
Invasive, yeah.
They're trying to develop a system to enslave us all, and God help us, because I don't think we're going to go peacefully. At least I pray that we don't.
Yeah.
I hope we don't. And everybody overseas, we absolutely envy y'all. We love y'all. We don't want to be dropping bombs on anybody,
Nope.
blowing anything up. We don't want to be killing kids. This is not. We want everybody to be free, healthy, happy, live their lives as they choose, not as the government dictates, not as the global bank cartel determines we need to live. My wealth comes from, visiting y'all's, walking in Mary's and seeing the smiling faces, coming to eat at Fat Boy and Skinny's, visiting my brother at the radio station. And, it's just those relationships.
Little connections.
Yeah, my friends call me. When Shelly calls me, when, I had a cousin I hadn't talked to in a year call me today. I mean, it's those human interactions. It's people walking through the front door I hadn't seen in a week and just, hey, man, what's going on? It's the people that are valuable in our lives. It's not a amount in your bank account. It's not the car you drive, the label on your clothes. I mean, none of that matters.
Right.
Me and my
That's all
son
gonna
just
go
had
away.
that conversation
And
yesterday.
it's a trade-off for that, and a lot of people don't realize that. I try to tell it to my son. He's like, "Oh, I want to be making XYZ for money," and I was like, "That's great, but what is
Yeah.
that going to do to your mental state,
Yeah.
to your physical body, to your time that you're not going to be with other people that you love to
Yeah.
be around?
And you can't
You're-
get that time back.
You can't, and that trade-off is something that you have to live
It's
with.
the oldest equation: time equals money, or it's a trade-off. And like Caden and I were talking because, he's looking at getting a job for the summer and stuff. And he was talking about, because he's been driving that diesel, he was like, I want me a little S10 or a Ford Ranger. I said, but I'm glad to hear that. I was waiting on that maturity, to realize that truck is fine and nice, but, if you can't afford to do things, what's the point,
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he said, what makes you rich in life ain't money. And I was like, yes,
No, right.
thank
Got it.
God, you
Money's
got it.
man-made.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. It's
It's
not real.
tangible. I mean, the Lord giveth and he taketh away. It goes
And
pretty
the central
fast.
bank just prints more
Prints
of it.
more
Yeah.
of it.
You know?
Yeah.
Time is the most precious commodity we have. on
They've
earth.
stolen it.
There's no amount of money that you would trade your memories with your children for. There's just the dollar that's on the table. It just ain't shit these
and,
days.
I will die for my kids, and so will you.
Yeah. No, literally. Oh, I love it.
Right.
Yeah. I'll die, and so will you.
Cody, you got anything?
That's it.
Yeah, we never asked you, Cody. What you got?
I always
What's
ask
on
him.
your? You do.
I always
Well,
try
at
to
this
ask him.
point, I would say my
in
health
his
is the
box.
most important thing, and probably the most important thing for everybody. And probably, I think I'm safe to say I'm going to be the first one that checks out. And just wanted to tell everybody, man, I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate you listening, tuning in, joining us. Of course, I love you guys. I love what we got going on here. I love the fact that we can take all the letters of the alphabet and put them in any order we want, and then form words out of them, and then say those words, and then they go out throughout the whole world, and none of those letters are illegal, and they shouldn't be illegal. And when those words are formed, if you don't like them, you're the problem.
Yeah.
Rearrange your own letters into your own words and say them.
Right.
Yeah.
If someone else is offended by them, again, that's their problem.
Yeah.
So, someone actually posted on a tweet that I'd put out that words are weapons. And I went, okay. I mean, words are powerful. But how about you hit me over the head with your insults, and I hit you over the head with a hammer, and we'll see which one is really a weapon.
Tell me what the weapon
We'll
is.
see which one
Yeah.
does more
Yeah.
damage.
Their
My
definition
hurt
of-
feelings or your caved in skull.
Concussion, yeah.
Their definition of violence and ours is not the same.
I mean,
Right.
no, words are not weapons. Weapons are weapons.
Yeah.
Well, they say you get
Words
like
are
this tough,
words.
Get a helmet.
Exactly. So, I mean, I would say that, but really just thank everyone for being here and tuning in. Please, by all means, leave a message. I know we've got Translate now, so we're in all these other countries. If you just want to leave us a message in your native language, we'll translate it here. May not be a great translation, but I think we'll get the idea. So if you want to send us a message or whatever, get in contact with us, please feel free. I mean, we're pretty easy. Mary is taken, so don't even go there. We've already dealt with that
Off
this
the
week.
market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's off the market. I don't want to hear it. Okay. Now Lee, wide open, kind of. He's sort of committed. Josh, we're not sure about.
No, I'm
he's
taking it.
ta- he's-
Josh is like, "Don't
he's
you say
taken?
that?"
Very taken.
Okay. I'm very married, so all right. So keep that in mind when you do message us or whatever. And like I say, we'd just love to hear from you, man. If you want to send us a private message, you can do that too. Anything you send to us, we'll keep it amongst us. If you don't want us to air your dirty laundry, we will not do that.
We can
and-
change names. No.
Yeah, and anyone running for office, any politicians, any civic organizations, anything like that want to come join us, by all means, come join us. We're obviously in the middle of an election season here, and so we have a plethora of politicians that want to come to our podcast, and we're going to have them on board. I think we've got Lewis Hopkins coming in. He's one of the mayoral candidates, and if you are overseas, you do not
Not
want to
wanna
miss
miss
this.
It's fire.
Anyone else got anything before we wrap
Nope,
this up?
Just stay fit, capable, and dangerous.
Yep.
That's it.
Stay
All right.
sharp.
Love you guys.
With that, y'all have yourselves a good one. We'll see you next time. Till then, see ya. Be cool. Bye.
above, come up 7. Eat your plastic, it's so fantastic. One more dead just ain't that tragic. Change the world, the flag unfurls, saluting light, you think it's magic. Thanks for making my enemies, deciding who I hate for me, driving mankind to its knees, waking backs and kicking teeth. All they say is play the game. It ain't fair, that's a shame. This injustice is just insane. Take a number, forget your name. One more treat, it's good to eat. Close your eyes, drink your meat. Styrofoam, it's so unknown. While starving mouths like riot streets. Thanks for making my enemies, deciding who I'll hate for me.